Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first live episode of 2023. I'm your host, Matt Binder, and this is a combination doomed scam economy episode because it's both worlds colliding in this episode. So that's why you don't hear the doomed intro up front or the scam economy intro up front. And I'm doing it on the live stream during the doomed Tuesday night hours because I already have the scam economy episode for this week in the bag and ready to go. So this was the slot that just made sense. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this show, it actually doesn't matter for you anywho, because that doesn't matter at all for your listening time slot. You just listen whenever. But hello, live stream viewers on YouTube and Twitch. Happy New Year. And some of you might think I took off like the past 2 weeks, but that's not true. I only gave myself 1 week off because this past week, and that was, of course, the Christmas to New Year's week. But this past week, I was at CES, which is the biggest tech show, frankly, in the world, I believe. It's, if not the biggest, certainly one of the biggest. And every year, tech companies from all over the world come together in Las Vegas and show off their new products, a lot of prototypes, a lot of things that will probably never see the light of day, but also a lot of things where we will see different iterations of it down the line, and also some things that are actually coming down the line in just a year or a few months or even out right now. And while I was scouring the streets of Las Vegas, well, down the Vegas Strip, so really just the street of Las Vegas, I ran into someone that some of you may all know if you are in the world of, I don't know, I guess like leftist or political media or media, Twitter in general. And that's Eoin Higgins. Thank you so much for joining me. I just pulled you up on the screen.
Cool. Hey, thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure, and it was great to meet you at CES as someone who's been, following your work online for, I'll just say over the years, because that way
Over the years, yeah.
Yeah, I could be vague, yet and also accurate.
Yeah, likewise. It was great. It was great to meet up. I think we got along in real life very, very quickly and easily. So it was fun to have. I was there with some other people at the place I work for, but it was fun to have like other people there. And we'll get into this, but we walked around the show for a couple of night events and a little bit during the day on. Was that Friday? Friday was your last day, right?
Yeah. We ran into each other first on Wednesday, I think, right? Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday at the
and then we
PepCon.
saw right at PepCom, the night event there, and then on Thursday as well at the what was it? The Showstopper event, which is like the event for journalists to meet up with different companies that were showing up there. And then we ran into each other on the show floor as well on Friday when I skedaddled out of town.
Yeah.
And so you were there with Morning Brew, right? You're a reporter there now for their tech vertical.
Yeah. I'm with IT Brew. We're like kind of IT tech oriented for like the IT tech worker. We also had reporters there from healthcare, emerging tech, which I think is rebranding into something less emerging, more techy, and marketing. So we had a wide variety of people there, and we don't do like breaking news or anything. This was one of the things that we were talking about actually, is that at Mashable you do breaking news. So for you were kind of like you were approaching things in a little bit of a different way than me. I was just kind of like walking around, taking
Right.
stuff in. I was talking to people like very casually, and you were kind of doing a more of a, I think maybe a good way to describe it, like kind of like shoe leather reporting almost. Like you were like there, like to do something, like you were writing that like at night, right? Like you were writing
I
there.
had to when Sony came out with the I think the surprise of maybe the event, and pulled out that Afeela, their new EV car that they made with Honda, which was completely unexpected and actually was breaking news. My first reaction was, "Ah, man!" and I had to pull out my computer and run off and start.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, right,
Meanwhile, I like wandered over to that thing like a day later, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, all right, well,
right, right. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good, I think, because we're both gonna have, I think, very interesting takeaways here from, basically what happened, right? I mean, what we saw, what we noticed, because I think, we'll have a overlapping experience yet different viewpoints. You probably saw things I didn't catch. I probably saw things you didn't catch. And what I want to break down here is sort of basically the good, the bad, and the dystopian. Because I think that sort of, because we saw some pretty cool things. And then we also saw some pretty lame things. And then we also saw some things that made me go, what the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I have a pretty good dystopian one, but maybe I'll save that for the dystopian uh, aspect or part of the show. But I think it's interesting the way that you're saying that, like we saw a lot of cool things and some things that won't have. Like, as I was walking around there, I was just like, well, like if everything that they're saying, like if everything that everybody is saying here all happened, like we would be living in like the future right now. But of course, it's not going to, because there's like a lot of this stuff will never be produced really, other than like the prototypes that we saw. Some stuff, like some of the companies will go bankrupt before they can bring anything to market, and other stuff will just not find an audience. But it was definitely interesting just kind of walking around, particularly. So I'm trying to set this up for you guys so you can, for the audience, they can visualize it. So there were like three huge areas in the main convention center, and they kind of went in a line. Like one was like north, one was also north, kind of, and then one was west. And but so like it was like these three massive, just open spaces where they had things set up, and they had kind of generally it was like gaming and TVs and audio and metaverse in one, and then in the other one, like the next one, like kind of next to that, was like health and IoT, which is Internet of Things, which is kind of, if you're not familiar, is like, just like the stuff that connects all of your gadgets around your house, and that's a very like brief way to summarize it. But and then in the West Hall, which was like way far away, there was all the electrical vehicle stuff, which was like definitely my favorite place to be. Like I thought that was where there were like lots of cool prototypes, and just John Deere and Caterpillar both had just massive, massive vehicles in there, just huge machines. There were boats in there, like there were just all kinds of really interesting stuff. So
Right. And that's just was one area. Like there was another, I got to say my favorite thing was there was a fintech section it was at the main floor at the convention center, but there was a fintech section. And to really give you an idea of how crypto is going right now, the fintech section was about 6 or 7 companies, and we're talking huge. It was like a little alleyway. We're talking like huge. Like there was like all these sorts of different things in all, like the gaming area, companies with monitors. We should actually just sort of get into, I think, the sort of trending stuff, like the stuff that the tech world is obsessed with, as per we saw at CES, and I think that'll sort of set the stage. So for me, I noticed that all of these companies, not the big ones, we're not talking about those right now. We're not talking about like the TCLs and the LGs and the Panasonics and the Canons and the Nikons and the Samsungs. We're talking about all the companies that go there to get themselves noticed. They all were using terminology surrounding Web3, Metaverse is, they fucking all want to be Meta, Facebook. They all are using metaverse, which mega lame. And also, virtual VR stuff was big. And yeah, I think that sort of encapsulates what like the trends were there in terms of like the buzzwords. Like, it's so bizarre because you would think, and I will mention this, I'm writing a piece about this too. I attended some panels that were obsessed with talking about the metaverse and Web3, but they even mentioned blockchain, they mentioned NFTs, they never uttered the word crypto. And that was fascinating to me because, I mean, it's clear they're trying to get away from it. Now, I'm not saying that was every panel at CES. I didn't attend all the panels. That would be impossible. But the ones on Web3 and the metaverse that I did attend, they just strayed away. Like, not one single mention. The closest they got to it was one person said the word token.
Yeah. So I wasn't really there to like look at Web3. It's not really like my coverage area, but I did at one point. So the amount of walking I did was like insane. On Wednesday I walked 19 miles, and on Thursday I walked like 14. And so like on Thursday, about like halfway through the day, I stopped into this panel really just to like sit down, and it was a crypto blockchain Web3 panel. And so first of all, the room was like huge, but we could probably seat like 300 people with like press tables in the back, and there were maybe 50 people in there, maybe, including the people speaking. They had video cameras and stuff, and they were talking about crypto a little bit. We talked about this a little bit, I think, on Friday, where or Thursday, where when I was telling you about how, they were talking about it a little bit. They were kind of like dancing around it, and then one of the guys was saying that people need to start thinking about their blockchain wallet as like a security thing, and like less of like a currency thing. And they kept on saying like, oh, this bad behavior, this bad behavior, that, just kind of hinting at what had happened, but never actually like directly talking about it. Never actually like directly addressing it. That was like my one experience. I think I was with you when we found like the little Web3 alley, that was in like the gaming area, but that was it. And then the metaverse stuff was like, I mean, I guess this stuff was kind of cool, like all the different haptic suits that they had and everything, but the technology is not there. Like, why would you want to spend all of that money for virtual reality that looks like shit? Frankly, I mean, like it just does. Like, it just doesn't look good. So, I don't really mess with that stuff, and I'm not very interested in it personally. Like, I'm not a gamer or anything, and I'm not like super interested in VR. But I guess that for me, the idea of strapping on a suit like that, and like, I went to one panel on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. They had like the smell-o-vision stuff, where they had like this little thing that you would wear, and it would release scents for when you're in a VR world. Like if you're in like a like a tropical forest, like some of that, and like and you could like program your own scents and stuff like that. It was kind of silly, but I saw like a bunch of stuff like that, like the haptic stuff, and it's just like, this is, hey, that's really interesting, but like it's not there. So like, what are you doing really? Like, you're trying to like immerse people in a world that doesn't really exist yet. Like you said, it's just people just trying to get their stuff noticed by these big companies, or buyers, which is really what this is.
Right. There's a world of difference between like some of these like neat little like gimmicky ideas, and then what can actually have broad adoption among the general public, like what's actually going to take off. And I came across, in terms of like one of the cooler things I saw, there was a few companies there who were doing glasses free 3D TVs. And there was one where it was amazing. I can't remember the name of the company. Braylon, I think, was the name of the company. Basically, like, it felt like I couldn't, like, instead of it popping out at you, the 3D imagery, it like felt like it was going deeper into the monitor, and it made it super crisp and clear, and it wasn't like any 3D I've ever seen before. It was, usually 3D, I go cross-eyed or get a headache after wearing the glasses for too long. And I thought that was really cool, but clearly they were making, and they said it themselves, products that are not meant for consumer adoption, because these were monitors and displays that were in the 5-figure range in terms of cost. And then I came across another company that was doing the more traditional 3D, where it felt like it was popping out at you without the need for glasses. And they say they're coming out with their monitor in the next couple of months at under $2,000. Now, that's still obviously a lot of money for most people, but that's also in the range of like that early when like new tech first drops and those early adopters come in and buy it. Like, I feel like when like flat screens and like Blu-ray first started, like that's usually the price range that those things start in. So that was interesting to me that they were already looking at it. Now, for me, like, I wasn't just looking at it in terms of like, oh, this is cool, but if any of these like metaverse and VR companies want this stuff to actually become normal household use items, products, services, whatever, I feel like these 3D TVs need to succeed first, because no one is going to, yes, gamers do it, but that's a different crowd for a different purpose. In terms of how, Mark Zuckerberg wants people to enter Horizon World, their metaverse platform, to do meetings and visit, FaceTime wouldn't be FaceTime for them, but video chat with family and things like that. People are not going to strap on their fucking headset every time they got to do this shit. But if you could plop down in front of a screen and it still be 3D, I think people will do that. And and it's weird to me that like the metaverse companies and the VR companies are not showing anything in the 3D TV, the glasses-free 3D TV world, because you would think they would see this, that they would see like what was super what like sold that idea to me completely was when I was walking down the strip. There was a storefront that was like, how there's like the helicopter rides in Vegas and stuff like that, like to go over the Grand Canyon and shit. One was selling virtual reality experiences with the VR headset and everything. If your product you're trying to sell people is also a tourist trap at a big city, it is never going to be widely adopted for regular everyday use. It's just that simple.
Yeah, no doubt. The 3D TV thing I saw was the company is called Lotte, Lotte, I think.
I
don't
didn't
know
see that.
exactly. Yeah, they had one that kind of felt like you were going into it. Same kind of thing. For me, I remember like my eyes were just kind of like they went like that for a second before they adjusted. But it was pretty cool. But like, yeah, I think that I think it's a good comparison to flat screens and to stuff like that. Where, yeah, when they came out, they were close to cost prohibitive for just about everybody, except for early adopters. And then and now you can get a flat screen for, I mean, you can get like a massive flat screen for like $300. I mean, it's insane like how cheap they are
Right.
now. But yeah, I mean, I definitely thought that stuff was cool. And I think, for me, the other really cool part of it, like I said, was like the EV stuff where it was like autonomous driving. Saw like a lot of kind of freight trucks, like tractor trailer stuff that were EVs or EV and autonomous. So I kept on thinking of the movie Logan. So I wrote an article about this for Pace like way back in the day. That it's kind of set in this dystopian future, but like the autonomous trucks in it are actually very believable. And so I don't know. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think so. No, I'm trying to recall.
So there's a chase. There's like a fight scene or a chase scene or something at one point where like there are all these autonomous freight trucks, which don't have like a front or anything. It's just like it's just a flat rectangle with wheels that the thing goes on, and that's it. And it just goes where it's going to go. And that is like they had a couple of those there, like that they're building. I think Centro was the company or something like that. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they had a whole kind of layout, and that was pretty cool.
Is this
but,
different? Is this different from what like Tesla advertises, like fully autonomous driving or whatever that is that they call it?
Yes, it's way different because first of all, I think that they're for real, and second, and second of all, um, they don't like. There's no driver. There's no human element at all. It is just straight up a rectangle with wheels that you
Hmm.
put the freight on, and then it just goes from. It's like a delivery robot. That's it. Um,
Oh, okay. So it's
and
not okay. Wow.
and I don't think that it's going to be ready. I mean, a lot of these EVs were projected to be ready like 2020. I mean, speaking of Tesla, they're fucked. They're done. They really are because like all of these big car makers and all of these companies are putting out their their cars, right? But the thing that I was noticing was that like you had combined with that just these like so that stuff's all coming out in like 2024, 2025, 2026, but the autonomous stuff is like a decade out, they say. So who knows, it could be 5 years, it could be 15 years, you don't really know. But like the technology is being developed. uh, was it you who were telling me about like the Tesla autopilot thing?
Maybe. What was it that I said?
The radar thing?
Oh
Was
no,
that
that
you?
wasn't me. No, that's not me.
So Tesla's autonomous like self-control drive uh, is um, is used by like they only use cameras. They don't use any radar, so that's
Oh
why they
right,
have like all these
right.
problems because they don't have radar.
And I remember there was I feel like there was a radar company like Lidar or something that was trying to sell them on using them because they're like one of the leaders in the space, and they were not successful or they're still in talk. I have no idea,
It
but
was it
yes.
was something it was something like that, and like and that but they have apparently. I think this actually might have been my cousin-in-law was telling me about this, but I like they have they have discovered some cool stuff that they can do with cameras, like, but the you can't really substitute it for radar. Like radar is it's like the thing that works. So you know. Ken Klippenstein of The Intercept just came out with an article today with that video. I don't know if you saw that of the Tesla just stopping in the middle of the tunnel.
Yes, yes, stopping right in the middle of the tunnel. But first, actually, merging into the left lane. You know, the one where you go when you want to slow down, and
Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah, right.
right, cutting directly in front of a car, and then slowing down and stopping, and then causing an 8 car pileup, which injured a child that was in one of the vehicles. And I think everyone is okay, thankfully, which means I can laugh at this joke. Someone pointed out that, in fact, it seems like Tesla's technology is so good that it was able to detect a child to injure in one of those vehicles.
Yeah,
Because
it's it's
Teslas
it,
love to injure children, as seen by all those videos where they use they put like a cardboard child cutout in like down on the road, and then
it just
just and then they put the fully autonomous driving on, and the Tesla just plows over a kid.
it
Yeah.
just it like it just goes for it. Yeah,
Well, maybe Elon Musk will look into it.
yeah, yeah. Right, right. We'll see about that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about like my I think I told you about this while we were talking about all this there. Like I think all this sort of stuff in EVs sort of detracts from the main point of what EVs are supposed to do. Like EVs are supposed to be just a greener way of getting around, and I feel like we could have really cheap EVs, cheap in terms of relative to how much cars cost, but we could have affordable EVs for people without all of this, futuristic technology, or even putting a big screen display up on the dashboard and all this stuff. Like, I don't need my car to make farting sounds. Like, I don't need a fart mode like Teslas come with. I don't need the 0 to 60 mode. I don't need all this stuff. And, Tesla prices their cars at $50,000 or something. And that's the starting point, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people should not think EVs, expensive. People should be like, if this was really about green energy and getting emissions down and just less pollution, then Elon Musk or any of these current EV car companies, which I guess is just really led by Tesla at this point, they would focus on just the EV aspect and put out a cheap vehicle. But of course, that's not the main selling point. We all know that. And hopefully the bigger car companies that are coming out with their new, their line of EV cars, like Honda, Toyota, Nissan. I mean, I'm not a car guy, so I don't know. Ford, Dodge, I got no idea. Hopefully they at least put out one sort of affordable EV vehicle for people so that who want to consider it can actually get one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's almost like a good segue into like talking about the bad, right? Because like I think that really sums up like the bad of CES, the bad of tech in general. Like this like all these protestations that they want to like make the world better, but in reality it's just about making money, which is like, okay, like whatever, like if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But like, couching it in these terms is kind of shitty. And I think there are a lot of people who are true believers. Like I saw a lot of people there who, I mean, there was definitely like, there was a vibe there. You know what I mean? Like there was like a certain, just like, man, I don't even really know how to describe it, but it was just a real like scene feeling kind of to me when I was in there. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it in words that really make any sense. But like it felt like I was entering a scene that I wasn't a part of, and that I was like, oh, okay, like these are the people who are like in this scene. Like these are the people who hang out here, who do this stuff. And I'm not saying that's like a bad thing about it. I think you find that everywhere, but I'm just saying that like that there, the way that kind of manifests itself is to kind of have all of these like kind of higher beliefs about the future and what we're going to do in the future, and like have the reality actually be, no, it's just a company. They're just trying to make money.
Right. I guess before we get into some other things, we should get to this before we forget. The cool thing that we saw. Let's get on the positive side of things. The coolest thing we saw, and I think you know what I'm gonna say, and I just feel like it's nothing. It's probably the least to do with anything I usually talk about on any of my shows. I usually talk about Tesla, Musk, they come up, crypto, blockchain, Web3, metaverse, all this sort of tech that's trying to get into our lives. But this particular thing is totally out there, but it was easily, for me, it stole the show. That fucking Optimus Prime robot.
Yeah, that thing was so cool.
And I have video of it, actually. Let me pull it up while we talk. So people, I'll turn the volume down for people so they can still, so they can still hear us while they see it. Hold on, let me just pull it up here. All right, so, I mean, this thing was insane to me. So there were a lot of robotics at CES, and this one's cool because it's a toy. Like, it's a $999 toy, but it's a toy. It's not going to replace any jobs, or they're not going to try to sell the idea that we should not pay people a living wage because these robots will come in and take their jobs, which they won't. Because I saw a bubble tea making robot at CES, and it was cool to watch it make a bubble tea. You actually saw it make a bubble tea. The person had to set it up with the scoop the ice for it and put it in front of the robot for it to actually then put it under the drink thing where the actual tea comes out, and then the dispenser, and then mix it, and then add the bubbles and all that stuff. The robot was able to do all that, but the person still had to hand them the cup and then take the cup so that they could bring it to the customer. But still, it was cool to see a robot do that stuff. Also, the robot took about 5 to 10 minutes to make a single bubble tea. There was a line of people waiting for their bubble tea because it was the experience of watching the robot do that. But no one is going to wait 5 to 10 minutes for a single bubble tea. No business could sustain itself selling one bubble tea every 5 to 10 minutes. Roughly, six to 12 bubble teas an hour. You would go out of business. So, the whole thing there is just sort of like whatever. But this was cool because it fucking looked cool. It was cool. And there's no negatives I can think of. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's not going to be used to push forward any horrible policy. It was just cool. And you could buy it right now. So it's not even like a prototype that may never come out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, this Optimus Prime toy robot that we found, we ran into it. I think it was Showstoppers, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, Thursday, and we were walking around, and I think this was like the last spurt of energy I had because shortly after this I just completely crashed. But we walked up to this place and we saw it just looked like a toy, and then the thing started moving around like you guys can see in the video, and it was just so cool. I'm glad that you got that whole like kind of kung fu part to it, and it's picking up. I mean, this is the timing on this is probably off from watching it here, but it did a lot of cool things. And it was like one of these things where it was like, that's pretty expensive. Like, that's pretty expensive, but you know what? Like, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Like that's
right.
Fine.
Like,
because
it'll be cool when eventually I'm sure it'll go down in price, as more people get into it and they have more products to sell. Just like we were talking about with, with how, what was it? The TVs, like the flat screen TVs. Yeah, as these things develop and the technology and parts become cheaper, as more people buy in and they have more products to sell. But there's no harm there. It's just cool.
Yeah. I went by like their actual big platform area, and they had like 8 of them out there, 7 or 8 of them out there, all doing that like in sync with each other. That was pretty cool too.
They had. I missed that.
And what was funny is that they had the Buzz Lightyears there too. Sorry, I'm like my brain was stopped working there for a second. They had the Buzz Lightyears there too, and they had the Transformer. They had the Optimus Primes, and I walked by, and I could see like where they had like the flyers for each of them, and they had all the Buzz Lightyears were still there, and there were like no Optimus Primes one. Like it's just such a cool toy that people just like grab that right up.
Right. And so we talked about the good here, because I think that was like, yeah, there were some cool things. I guess we also mentioned. I think those 3D TVs were cool and
Mm-hmm.
good, and I think will make certain things not as ridiculous. And we talked about the metaverse. To me, that's maybe even dystopian. Like the idea that all these companies, and they're just calling it too, like anything time they make like a 3D interactive world. And I don't mean 3D like virtual reality. I just mean like 3D as in like the graphics, like Second Life, World of Warcraft, Roblox. It's like that stuff already exists. Like so many of these words are just garbage buzzwords now. They don't even mean anything because, and I think the best example of that was Web3. Web3 inherently requires the blockchain. It's the term used to sell the idea of giving creators more ownership and control over what they create. And the blockchain is a part of Web3 because a blockchain is the whole idea of you mint your item, your media, your whatever to a token, and it shows ownership and you have control over revenue in terms of when you sell it, residuals when other people sell it, and things like that. And people will always know that you control the ownership over it. I've talked a lot about why this never really works out, and the idea of it will never really work out. But here at CES, Web3 is basically blockchain isn't necessary. I saw all these Web3 companies here's the perfect example instead of trying to explain. I saw a panel with the CEO of Napster. Yes, Napster is still a company, but Napster is a company that back in like the late 90s actually completely changed the entire landscape of the music industry. Like that's why we stream now. Because people were all downloading their whatever music they could find for free on Napster. It completely changed the game. People no longer wanted to go out and buy CDs, albums, singles. They wanted to just get them online. And the CEO of Napster is talking, and he keeps bringing up the idea that, if you think about it, Napster really was the first Web3 company. And I'm sitting there going, what does that mean? Like, first of all, you are Napster. Like there is not a single Web3 company that has done anything to affect the culture, society, an entire industry in any way, shape, or form. Right now it's just the buzzy thing in tech, but it's done nothing substantial whatsoever. Like, why are you debasing Napster by saying Napster was the first Web3 company when all these Web3 companies should be wishing they did something as meaningful as what Napster did? And then on top of that, I mean, if Web3, even in the CES tech, the non-blockchain idea of it, and the buzzword type meaning of it, is just creators having more control over their content. I mean, Napster was the complete opposite, right? Like the reason Napster failed and shut down that whole original idea they had was because bands like Metallica sued them because they couldn't control their music being downloaded for free on Napster. So, I mean, even in that sense, it was like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah. I mean, like this is a company that like changed an entire industry and the world. Industries actually, because I would include video too, right? It did that, and I think calling it Web3 is just like, I mean, wasn't Napster like 25 years ago? I mean, like that was like Web1, like that's like a foundational building block here. We're not talking about like some attempted, you know, a attempted way to make the blockchain work, make something work that isn't working. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And that is, was it the original CEO or was it just like some big guy who's in charge of it?
That's a good question. I don't think it was the original CEO because he said he came from another company.
Oh yeah,
But
okay,
but
okay.
still, it's like oh yeah, it definitely was not Sean Parker, who I think
Gotcha.
was the original
Yeah.
Napster CEO. Yes, but still, it was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, it doesn't make you sound Good, honestly, because you guys were more than that. You were more than what any of these uh,
Yeah,
Web3 companies is. And to me, that was like an example of how we're going to basically there's going to be two type of tech companies right now. There's going to be the companies that do absolutely nothing, yet are part of the trendy upcoming buzzword industries like metaverse and web3. And they're going to take up all this investor money, all this media time, and literally show nothing for it and affect the world in no way, shape, or form, which may be good being what they want to do. But still, they're going to just suck money and suck eyeballs away from things that actually do have meaning and or could have meaning. And on the other end, there's going to be these tech companies that truly change things, but for the absolute worst, like the true dystopian tech companies. I mean, I saw Palantir there, and that to me was like,
yes.
they shouldn't be fucking invited, honestly. Like, they shouldn't even be allowed to be there.
I like walked around their booth and I was just like, ugh. Like there was nothing, and there was nothing even in it that was like particularly creepy. It was just the
Well,
fact
they
that it
did
was
have like
Palantir.
they did have a big army truck there, didn't they? Like not specifically U.S. Army, but like a big military type truck that was
They
there.
yeah, but it was they did, but it was kind and like yeah, that was a little creepy like that stuff. But the truck itself was kind of like they were kind of selling it as like, hey, this is just a truck that anyone could use, right? Or like like that any kind of emergency service or something could use. I mean, it's obviously for the military, but there weren't necessarily like there were some helmets inside of it. I didn't see any like weapons. I didn't really stick around too much there though. But like, but most of it was just like software powering like the industrial revolution. It was just very interesting kind of thing that they were doing there. So I get what they were doing, but it was also kind of like yeah, like it's Palantir. It's Palantir. I mean, like what it's Palantir. Like that. Like it is what it is. So uh, to me, the most dystopian thing I saw, and I posted a tweet about this that got some good reactions. So I'll kind of set up the story. I went to Deep Brain AI, right? And so this is a company that they make AI kind of humans, sort of like they make AI like digital like screen people that like will respond to you. And the way that they do is they bring you in and you do an interview, and they have a script then, and then it starts to like when like they had Howie Mandel, right? Howie Mandel was like one of the ones, and like it was like Howie, what's your podcast? Oh, my podcast is this. I record it with my wife and daughter. Da 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 da. And we also talk about this. Like it's obviously very fake, but like it is responding to you. So it was like kind of like okay, like that's kind of cool. It looks all right, I guess. And then I went around like the other side of their booth, and it was rememory. And so it's remembrance without regrets. By having actual conversations with your past loved ones, rememory can help you through hard times. Interact with your late family members. We offer a private space to give you the time you wish you had, where you can revisit and reflect on the memories you shared with your loved ones. So basically, what this is say grandma's dying, she goes in, or she knows that she will be, she knows that she's on the decline. She goes in, she does an interview with them. They talk to her, and then after she dies, then you can talk to her. And the video on this one has like the CEO of this company, which is based in South Korea, possibly I think it is based in South Korea. I'm not 100%, but the CEO, and like it shows his daughter talking to him, and the first thing he says is, "Oh, I've missed you so much. I've missed you so. I'm
Um,
so glad to see you again." And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like that's kind of fucked up for me. I don't know if I can quite. Like that's a little too dystopian for me. Um,
right. Yeah, I listen. I'd be
yeah,
fine with it. I think it'd be very. I would think it'd be nice actually for a tech company to like that focuses on sort of, I guess, I don't know, retaining your loved ones memories in terms of like a company that maybe, I don't know, goes to them, your older relatives, and films them or videos them like going, answering certain questions, sort of like, a mini documentary type deal or something, and like that being like a service for people who want to like not lose like those family stories that maybe only certain individuals would have, but to have them like do that in order for them to create things after they die that they didn't actually say or do in life, that is very weird. Yeah, that is very weird.
well, it is things that they said, but I don't know. Like to me,
Like, but
it's
they're
just very
interacting with new stuff though, right? Like they're interacting with, like you said, like in one of them, it's like, oh, it's nice to see you or something like that, as
yeah.
in
So
like,
I'm scrubbing through oh yeah. So it says, well, no, I think this is like what he told it to say, but it's still just like very like uh okay, dear daughter, how are you? Um, I've missed you dearly. It's just a very
oh,
weird thing.
that's,
Like that's the
uh,
commercial. Like that's just like
yeah.
about that, man.
No,
That's
I'm
not
not.
for me.
I mean, if you want to pop open a clip or of some cool way they were able to record Grandpa's stories from when he was growing up as a kid, then that's cool. But I don't want to talk with Grandpa anytime after he died, honestly, because that's just weird. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's the way I think the way that they're selling it is so manipulative that to me that's just it's just too manipulative. It's
Right.
just too manipulative for me.
Someone in the
Yeah.
chat says Disney is going to buy this for the new Hall of Presidents. I mean, that's one
Oh,
way I could see this technology being used. That's not weird, I guess. If you use historical figures or like that, or obviously with full consent. Well, with historical figures, not. But like if you want to do celebrities, I guess you need you should get full consent from the family. But even the celebrity thing
hmm.
is weird. I guess just historical figures, which we all will be like, I guess I won't care like 100 years from now if you want to do that to me, but I think it's weird to like talk to my talk to people in my family like 10 years from now if I'm dead, like after I die. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I guess there's a point where it's so far it's fine, but it's weird to people who knew you when you were alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. So it's just a little off. It's just a little off.
Right. That is, yeah. I don't. It feels like an idea that sounds good on paper, and then the
Yeah,
second you start to put it together, it's like, what are we doing here?
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh god. But I will say this. I think CES. Um, obviously its purpose is to get people excited about this stuff. I think. But I think it's also to me it's more so a good take on, and this is sort of how I went to cover it. Was is a good take on how the whole, and not even just the whole, how different parts of the industry and then also the whole industry views their field and then tech as a whole in terms of what they see as the defining. Like to me, it was way more interesting to see how many companies were trying to shoehorn their way into these buzzwords like metaverse and the AI stuff. Obviously, like you mentioned, that's big. Web3. How they were trying to shoehorn their stuff, their own stuff into this. Because it gives you a take on how I guess people view this stuff in the industry and then outside too, because I was talking to people outside who were just sort of like, uh, they didn't get, like people who were attending, they didn't get why certain companies were calling themselves what they were when it was clear that they really weren't. Like, again, 3D games have been around in terms of like, 3D models in games and immersive worlds like Second Life, World of Warcraft, been around forever. Well, not forever, but like the past 2 decades. Why are you a metaverse company if you're not throwing in the VR component, which we know is what defines. I hate that term, first of all. I hate that Facebook decided to just say VR is now metaverse if it's an immersive world inside of it. But I mean, that is exactly what it's supposed to be, and even that is being like changed to basically fit whatever people want to get the buzzy terms so they could get, I guess, funding.
Yeah, I mean, for as you probably know from your job, and as I know from my job, I mean, companies and analysts have been saying, metaverse is the future. It's going to be huge. There's going to be tons of money put into it. It has felt like wishful thinking to me the entire time, and like it just still feels that way to me. Like it's just not quite there.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe someday, but I don't think it's going to happen very soon. So
yeah. I think a lot of I did write a piece about how another cool thing I saw was that HDMI adapter that was able to turn your iPhone or an iPad into a monitor for your camera. So when you're shooting, you could record directly on your iPad or iPhone, so you could quickly send it to people, but still get the professional like visual shots. And when I wrote it, I was like, with all these trendy stuff, remember, HDMI adapters could be revolutionary too. And that's my takeaway when I come out of it. When someone asks me like, oh, because they hear you go to CES. Oh, what's the cool stuff coming out of it? And I'm like, in terms of what you're going to be using in the next, like, I don't know, over the next year or so. I saw a cool gaming mouse with a joystick for the thumb. I saw that HDMI adapter. Like, it's this basic, regular, everyday electronics and accessories that are just being upgraded. That is the stuff that's really going to like directly impact people over the next couple of months and years, because all the other stuff is basically hopes and dreams, prototypes, or things that will never come to fruition whatsoever because we just saw like a demoed version that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, your TVs are going to get cooler. Your cars are going to be able to do more things at some point. And certain aspects of your life will look slightly different.
Right.
I mean, Higgins, I guess basically, yeah.
Right. Eoin Higgins. It was a pleasure meeting you there at CES. And thank you so much for coming on. So, I could finally have you on the live stream we can get that started, because hopefully you come on again too soon in the future.
Definitely.
And then B, perfect to have you on for this specific episode, because we literally ran into each other at CES. Just made the ultimate sense, if that even. I'm starting to. Ooh, the CES stuff is rubbing off on me. I'm starting to just throw out buzzy terms like the ultimate episode, the future of podcasting, right here before you right now. Where can people find you?
The metaverse.
Yes, the metaverse. Where can people find you online? Feel free to drop any sort of links, handles, whatever. The floor is yours.
For sure, yeah. You can find me on Twitter for as long as it still exists at Eoin Higgins _ EOIN HIGGINS _. You can also, if you are interested in IT and tech and you're in the IT field, check out itbrew.com, itbrew.com, and sign up for our newsletter and check it out. It's a lot of interesting cybersecurity stuff, and we talk about especially if you work in IT, like definitely get this newsletter, because it's that's who it is aimed at. It's aimed at the IT workers. So
there you go. Eoin, thank you so much. Have a great night, and I will talk to you again soon, and I will hopefully see you eventually again outside of CES, or maybe we'll just keep running into each other annually at CES. Who knows?
Could be one of the two. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, folks. Bloop bloop. Let's see. Oh, what is this? What's going? What is this? Oh, what is this? Jeez, I have the wrong. Ooh, that majority report today. That was the first episode of 2023. A little bit of a different topic than we usually do, but I felt it would be absolutely bonkers to not talk about CES, being that that's why I didn't have episodes last week. And it honestly fit into what I usually talk about on Doomed, what I usually talk about on Scam Economy. And so, boom, bada bing, you got your combo episode. We are now going to take a quick break. Before I do that, I'm going to go over to, where is this? The second half of the show. But first I want to thank patrons. Lost a few, that's how it goes. Gained a few when the Mustang happened, then lost a few because there was no shows for a week or two. But let's thank the patrons who joined since the last stream. We got Justin W., Paul X, and Alexander S. Thank you so much for becoming patrons. We also got a raid from Ravana. Thank you so much, Ravana. We are going to the second half of the show now. I'm not leaving you guys. All the fine people from Ravana's Twitch stream can stick around. In fact, I'll be opening up the phone lines on Skype so you can call in. Just search Doomed Live on Skype, and you'll be able to call into this show. Got a few things to talk about in terms of what's been going on. And let's see. I got to actually ask you all a few questions about how the feed looks, because I'll explain this all in the second half of the show. Folks, patreon.com/MattBinder. Become a subscriber today if you can and help me grow this show. Your support helps me create more content, help distribute the content I'm already creating through more mediums and avenues. I'm going full speed ahead in 2023. Things are really starting to grow and pick up. Partially because of, the support from all my longtime listeners, people discovering the show. Got a little boost from when Elon Musk banned me from Twitter. So yes, patreon.com/MattBinder. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/MattBinder. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/MattBinder. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month to give to your favorite creator. I got this down pat now. That's free to do, by the way. It's free for you. You basically force Amazon to take a little cut from what you already pay them for Amazon Prime and give it to me if you give me your Twitch Prime subscription, or whomever you decide to give it to. Give it to somebody even if you don't want to give it to me, because Amazon's got enough of your money, right? Also, what else? Follow me on Twitter at MattBinder, on Mastodon at MattBinder. I'm on mastodon.social. What else? To follow me, you can find me anywhere on social media. Search Matt Binder. I'm Matt Binder on most platforms. There might be platforms where there's a variation of that, but if you search Matt Binder, you'll find me. Doomedcast.com for the podcast version of this show. Scam Economy. And this show being Doomed. ScamEconomy.com for the podcast version of Scam Economy. Got a show coming up with Molly White on Scam Economy, looking at the past year in crypto, looking at some things you guys might have missed. Past year is in 2022. Look back at 2022. And then I will have a show coming up, another Scam Economy show coming up too, which I will tell you guys about probably on the next episode of Scam Economy, because there's going to be 2 Scam Economies probably before the next episode of Doomed, because I'm catching up here. You know what I mean? What else? That's it. Let's go to the second half of the show. Well, I'll take your calls. I'll read your super chats if you want to drop a super chat on YouTube, or if you want to drop a bit or a subscription on Twitch. I read the comments you leave with those too. Just give me a minute, and I will be back. The feed's not ending. You'll stick around right here. I'm gonna refill my drink, and then I will be back. Here we go. I will see you all in just a minute.
Ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, educate the masses, rampant homophobia, armed strength.
We got our first caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're a conservative. What makes you a liberal? I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really? Absolutely. I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
All right, we are back. Hello, everybody. It is... Oh, I'm too loud here. It is so nice to see you all. I am very rusty. Don't do a stream for literally just a little bit, and all of a sudden you forget everything. You forget everything there is to know about putting the stream together. I forgot to record the stream locally, so I'm going to have to grab it from YouTube, so I'm hoping there's no technical difficulties. I had to unplug my camera for the first time in like a year, or maybe even more, to take it with me for to cover CES, take photos and video. So I had to recalibrate everything, and I couldn't remember what settings I was on. And I can't tell, but is everything in sync? Is my audio and video in sync? I'm not sure. It seems a little bit off to me. But if it's looking right to you, then that's fine. It's all synced? Oh wait, someone says the audio is lagging, Matt. Not on the Twitch end, says Don James. Let me get some more people in on this. It's a tad off. All right. Sync is good on YouTube, says Daniel. A little off on mobile. So I guess I gotta watch the actual recording. Because it's actually a little bit, not the sound, because I don't hear myself, but what I'm seeing on the screen is a little bit delayed from what I am actually doing, which wasn't the case before. And I didn't notice until, and I even tested it out before I went live, but I didn't notice till we were live. But if it's just that, then okay. All right. Phone lines are open over on Skype. Doomed Live, search Doomed Live, and I will take your calls. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. I met a longtime listener of the show. Two longtime listeners of the show, actually. During the break. On New Year's Eve, Dave from Jamaica and Rachel were in town in New York City, And I met with them, and I took them to a fine Malaysian restaurant here in Queens. It was a pleasure to meet people who I've been talking to for, geez, God knows how long, especially Dave from Jamaica, how long I've been talking to him. My God. But yeah, all right, let's, I see some callers right now. Let's take these calls. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, hello. Oh, damn it. I was gonna do the hey, hey, hey thing from BitConnect. Oh well. I always say hey, hey, hey when I join, but that's because I'm hoping someone will get the reference someday. You know, that BitConnect video that went viral ages ago.
Right,
Uh,
yes. How are
anyway,
you
it is
doing?
Adam. Hey,
Hey, Adam.
I'm doing pretty good. This is the first time I've called pretty much just after waking up instead of staying up super late to call in.
All right, let me
So
guess
that
where you,
means I'm going to be less stoned than usual, which might help make my
let me
points
guess
a
what
little bit more fast.
let me guess where you're calling in from. Mobile, Alabama.
Yep, that's right. I'm from Alabama.
Yes.
Is that hate crime? That accent?
Right, right. Then you're waking your sleep schedule is based on you working the night shift. You're going to work right now. You work as a security guard at I don't know. Thanks for calling in again, Adam. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. What was it to talk about?
Um, oh God. To be honest, this time, I mean, normally I try and bring some big, like some area of interest, but this time, I struggle to think of much. But I do have a couple of things. I'll start, I guess, with like, to be honest, this normally I take notes before I call, so this might be a bit more rambly and struggly. So I apologize for that. But I guess like a lot of my calls have sort of been about like things that are sort of like scams, like and sort of culty in nature. And I guess I wanted to ask you, like, do you think there's like a good like left analysis of like like what appeals to people about these kind of things, like financial cults and that kind of thing, or I guess just like religious cults in general. I mean, there's probably been a lot more written about religion's relation to, I guess, capitalism than there has been like specifically financial cults. But I feel like there's some like a lot of it sort of relies on this sort of this really cringy like hustler mindset that you see on like like Instagram and stuff, where people like want to see themselves as future millionaires or future billionaires, and that's sort of preying on people in that way. That's sort of how a lot of them operate. Like if you just know this secret, the secret sauce to capitalism, then you can get ahead and get yours. Any kind of systemic solution. Uh, but yeah, what do you think of that? I guess.
No, absolutely. I think obviously, people are raised at a very young age, where they correlate success in life with how much money you make. Um, Also, you were taught that you're not a good member of, I don't even want to say society, because that's too communal for, I think, this train of thought. You're just not a good person if, I guess, you're not being productive. If your level of productivity is not, if you don't do something that that makes you, I don't know, a productive person to someone else who's making money off of you in some way, shape, or form. More recently, this idea of grind, hustle and grind culture, where you always got to be making money. That's like completely consumed a lot of people, especially young people, where there's no such thing as hobbies anymore, or the time just for yourself to sort of have fun or do something with friends. Basically, if you're not 24/7 on the grind, making money, pulling in revenue, then you're some sort of failure, or you're not doing the right thing you should be doing, where it's actually like a negative thing. Like you're a bad person if you're not using your time to make money all the time. I think that has a lot to do with it. All these things combined. We sort of idolize people based on how much money they make. We idolize billionaires, as we've seen, as being special or better than everybody else when recent experiences prove that that's just not the case. I think all these things combined all play a role. Some things more than others, depending on the person. Broadly, cults, religious cults, and stuff. That has comes into these sort of stock groups and money making groups. You see with Andrew Tate's Hustler University. I think that brings in the community element where these people are so busy making money because historically people join cults or religions because to get a sense of community for a lot of reasons or to find purpose in life. And I think that sort of comes into play here. When you're trying to make money 24/7, you don't have time to make friends. So you join a money-making group, and then those people become your friends, and then those people take advantage of you because, hey, I'm your friend. You got to throw me some funds here, or I'm going to make you money. Why wouldn't you trust me? I'm your friend. I mean, this all plays a huge role into it, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I think you made a lot of good points there.
And I don't know, but on your point about leftist analysis, I don't think so. I don't think, here's my issue. And, Vosh, when I was out, Vosh was getting into some debates with people over why people like Andrew Tate appeal to younger individuals. Like, what's the appeal there? And he was making the argument that the left does not reach out to young people in the same way the right does. Whereas, leftists look at people like that who are into Andrew Tate and sort of, I guess, brush them aside or sort of poo-poo on them or whatever. I mean, I guess we see that sometimes because it's kind of ridiculous at times, the things they aspire to be and look up to, and I mean, as we're seeing with what's going on with Andrew Tate right now, this guy is not a good person, not an individual to look up to in any sense. Even if you're a business person looking up, I mean, it's pretty clear that he has made most of his money through illegal, unethical, and quite frankly, disgusting and derogatory ways. And I don't mean derogatory in the sense of, cuss words and sex. No, I mean like abuse and all other sort and trafficking. I understood what Vosh was saying. I agree with him in some aspects, but I also think there's a piece of and I didn't see all of his debates. I'm just talking about some tweets he made. I know he made a broader video. I've not watched it yet on the whole thing, or maybe he's done a few. But this is what I think, and I've said this before on this show. The reason the self-help thing is so big on the right with the Jordan Petersons and the Andrew Tates and all these guys is because it's very simple for these people to tell these lost young men exactly what they want to hear. It's very easy to say, do this, do that, life will be great. Do this, do that, life will get better. Do this, do that, women will be into you. But none of it's true. Like, I can't be a self-help person for these young kids if what they're looking for is the 12 steps to life or how to make money in 4 weeks. I can't do that because, frankly, there is no step-by-step method for any of this. Life is difficult. Life is tough. And everybody experiences life differently. Yeah, there will be some people who go through life and stumble upon $1 million in a matter of a couple of months. That's not the regular experience of people. There's no easy step-by-step process that got them there. They'll pretend it's hard work or whatever, but no, that's pure luck. Being in the right place at the right time even. which is also luck, honestly, for those individuals who've done something like that. Like, the reason it's harder for the left to provide self-help to these wayward young men is because what the leftist answer is to a lot of these problems is, quite frankly, difficult, and it's hard work, and it's not something that we're going to see happen just by cleaning up your room and blaming the government or whatever the answers are that these different right-wingers give. It's just not that simple. And that's the fork in the road, right? Do we lie to people to make them think life is simple so we can give them life advice? Or do we tell them how it is and lose them to people who lie to them and give them the fake bullshit? It's a conundrum, I guess. I mean, I've decided what my answer is, and I'm not going to belittle or demean anyone's intelligence just to make them feel good. Life is tough, and there is no self-help book you can read that will fix your problems in life. And I'm not saying this to be mean or rude or nasty. If an individual would like to come to me, if a young man or woman would like to come with me with their issues, I would love to sit down and listen to them. And, I'm not super successful money-wise, but I've been with my partner for a very long time. I got 2 kids. I'm very happy and positive person. My life is exactly what I would want it to be. We could all have more money and live in a bigger house or whatever, but all things considered, I'm very content with who I am and what I do. And if that's something that you want to, I could be happy to talk with people on an individual basis and help sort of guide them if they would like that. But I don't have any grand, broad answers to give people that's going to change their life in a week. It's not as simple as, treating women like shit at the bar and then all of a sudden they love you all of a sudden. It's not as simple as whatever bullshit these right-wingers give people, honestly. It's hard, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah, those are some great points. I like a lot of the stuff you say resonated with that Devil Corp MLM I called about like ages ago. Well, it feels like ages ago. I don't know how long ago it actually was. The MLM that I joined that was sort of cultish. A lot of the things you say ring true regarding that, because like a lot of what they do, they teach you to sort of worship these like people who have made it in the organization and are successful in the organization. And as you said about the luck thing, like a lot of those people, they came from wealth or they happened to join when it was really in its infancy, and they've just been like grifting people since. It's not like they actually, like, what they teach is you do these systems and then you'll be wealthy, but obviously that's not true. Like 99% of the people who use the systems are just being exploited and not making any money at all, pretty much, because that's how MLMs operate,
Right. Right. Well, I just want. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to answer this one question here. Not the question, this comment.
Okay.
Someone, Lair Do Lasso says, Matt, no one, Vosh included, is suggesting that this isn't a difficult task or that solutions will take a week. No, I'm not saying Vosh is saying this, and don't get me wrong. I am not knocking or going after Vosh. I agree with some of his points. What I'm saying is, in that broader discussion, again, and I haven't seen his videos on. I'm talking about the tweets where he was saying something like, why does the right wing or the right wing goes after these people and the left just cedes it to them? I'm saying the reason a lot of leftists probably cede it to them is because in order to win those young people over a lot of times, they do want to just hear the easy bullshit the right shovels to them. I'm saying the right gives them the idea that this is easy, or you could change your life in a week by just cleaning your room or treating women like shit at the bar to get chicks or whatever. That's what I'm not saying Vosh is saying that, but I'm saying that's why it's not so easy to get these, like, that's why there's no self-help people on the left. Because, I mean, let me be clear here. I personally think the whole self-help industry is a bunch of bullshit. I really do. I think it's all people trying to sell you the idea that you make these simple changes in life that you could read in a fucking book and life will be better for you. And Maybe for some people those changes help in certain aspects, but you can tell by, in terms of the people the right-wing people are going after, that's not the case. Because if those changes actually help them, they wouldn't be doing the same things they're doing and being so miserable and treating everyone like shit. They wouldn't be finding all these scapegoats and minorities, LGBTQ people, women, etc. I mean, it's clear that these people are not actually helping these individuals. They're using them. Hello?
Hello.
Sorry about that.
yeah.
I just had to answer that one.
No, I have been kind of keeping up with this Vosh thing, like vaguely, but I guess my opinion on that whole thing is I more or less agree with you. I do think that I guess like in a sense I can see where Vosh is coming from, because I think a lot of his audience are like younger, disaffected men, and I think in his experience, like what he's seeing personally is probably sort of validating his side of the argument, where he's thinking, okay, well, a lot of these disaffected people used to be right wing and used to like John Peterson or Stephen Crowder or whatever, and then they've come across my content and become left. So I guess if there was some validity to his argument, it would be that maybe the idea would be to get those people in, not with self-help stuff, or maybe like you start with the self-help stuff and then sort of like you get people in with the self-help stuff and then you give them like real systemic answers to things. So I guess that, I mean, I think that's what Vosh sees, and like that's his I guess you could say that's like it's I mean, I think it's good that he's getting people who are have these horrible views to have better views, obviously, but it's also like I think it's sort of the difference between offering like personal solutions and offering like systemic solutions, like
Right, but here's the thing though. That's what I mean when we don't have the simple answers people want to hear. Systemic solutions take time to fix.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
like they're gonna that's not what those people are looking for. You know what I mean? Like they have to, in a sense, and this is how a lot of leftists get their audience if they have a YouTube show or a podcast. Essentially, people have to experience in some, like the people who aren't already attracted to these sort of ideas and aren't looking for the quick fix, because they know real change and real systemic difference will take work and time. Those people are already here. The people who are looking for that quick fix, unfortunately, they will naturally be attracted to the right based on the fact that that's what's being sold by the right. And so they will go there and hopefully see that life isn't better, life isn't fixed, and the right's answers were bullshit. And then they'll say, let's check out what's being offered on the other side. And hopefully they find something that fits them better, honestly. But there's no quick solution the left has to offer, and that's because we're not lying to people. There just simply is. Like, of course, there's solutions, I guess, that we could offer people on an individual basis, like you said. But it's also, if someone's truly, really far and away from where they want to be in life, sometimes the individual thing just isn't enough, too. It is systemic for a lot of people. I can't sit down and tell like a young black man the same thing I could tell to a young white guy and say your answers are going to be fixed the same way for both of them. It's just not true. And those are things that do matter in terms of like the systemic versus the personal, I guess, the individual. And there's just not easy answers for either. And this is the same sort of thing that, and this isn't just politics. This is obviously the same sort of thing that MLM groups get. Like they go after people who are down on their luck or people, they don't go after completely poor people usually because they got to suck money out of someone. They don't go after, but they go after people who are unhappy with where they are in life, who have money to swindle out of. That's what people fall for. They want that easy answer. I wish it was easy. It certainly is very alluring, and that's why these MLM groups and such are so successful.
Yeah, and one more thing I'd say, I don't know if this is like, I think this is sort of like disagreeing with the Vosh side, but also pointing at a similar issue, I guess. It would be like, God, it's kind of similar to like a debate that's been going on for a while, like, you know, even like academically speaking, like, you know, why aren't there more male feminists, you know? Like, what is it about feminism that isn't appealing to men, or like what are feminists doing that make it unappealing to men? And I think a lot of people took issue with Vosh and the others, the original tweet that he retweeted or whatever. I think people took issue with that because it was framing it as a problem with the left or a problem with feminism, that it's not appealing to these people. You know, like sort of putting the burden on the oppressed to, you know, appeal to the oppressor, or however you want to frame it. But like, I mean, these issues are being talked about. You know, it's not like feminists don't offer like reasons for men feeling so alienated in life. You know, there's a lot of really good stuff out there, like, you know, about like how patriarchy makes men feel like they don't live up to these like impossible standards for what a man is supposed to be. You know, that's sort of like where toxic masculinity comes from, in a sense, where people are sort of insecure about their own position in life and where they think they should be in relation to others. Like, you know, like, oh, well, I should be dominating all the women in my life. I should be really successful, you know, because that's what a man is, and that's what I've been told a man is. You know, so there are feminist answers to these problems, but the thing is that those things don't sell as well. You know, there is no Steven Crowder out there like making all these feminist arguments about toxic masculinity, because it just doesn't sell as well. It doesn't get pushed by the algorithm as well, and there isn't as much money funding it. So, you know, there's I think there's real like material reasons. I mean, as well as the reason you just gave, that like you can't just give quick fix answers to people's personal problems. If we're talking about trying to like take people from the right, or like from these right-wing ideologies, and move them to the left, especially like young men, I guess, in this case, I think it's also important to think about like where the power actually is, because there is a lot more power in promoting patriarchy. There's a lot more, you know, like PragerU and all these different right-wing networks are much more willing to promote that kind of thing, and that gives them a huge boost.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. But, you know, it's just, yeah, it's certainly an interesting discussion. I think there's a lot more to be said on this topic. Maybe I should reach out to Vosh and have that conversation with him, because I don't think we disagree with too much. I just wanted to point out, again, he might have even said all this stuff too in his own video that he did, but I just wanted to point out to people from what I was seeing on Twitter, you know, the difference and why it's so easy for the right to target that market, because that audience, because they have no problem saying whatever it takes. And that's not helpful to people who are looking for something substantial in what they're being told, especially when it's about how to better their life.
Yeah, for sure. And like, as you said, like, you know, these 12 rules for lifestyle, like systems, you know, like offering some quick fix. It's just, I mean, this is why we have like really underfunded, I mean, not, this isn't why we have, sorry. This is why we have, you know, mental health professionals, even if they are underfunded, is what I was trying to say.
Right.
Like, you know, like if these sort of things worked, then we wouldn't need therapists, you know?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, like
clearly you need a one-to-one connection with someone, and you need to be able to understand like what they're going through and what their concerns are and where they come from. And that's not going to be achieved by just like reading a book or, you know, listening to some podcast or whatever, you know?
Right. Yeah. Like cleaning your room. Maybe you'll feel better living at home, in your home or whatever. Maybe it'll make you feel a bit more positive or productive or whatever. But also, I bet some people do thrive in mess. So it doesn't fit everybody, but also it's not going to materially make your life better. Let's be honest. It really isn't, especially if the issues are you're dealing with some sort of mental health problem, or you're not making a living wage and you can't afford your rent. Like this is not something that's gonna. It's just like self-help, feel good type material. And I'm sorry, that's again, maybe there's some people who that'll work for, but in terms of a broad, systemic sort of thing, this isn't it.
All right, I'm sure you've got other people on the line, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for taking
Thanks
my
for the
call.
call, Adam. Have a great night or day for you. Have a great day.
Have a good 2023, Matt, and all the scam economy / doomed chat out there.
Will do.
All right, see ya.
Bye. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello. Who's this?
Hi, this is Cameron Robson calling in from Canada, New Brunswick, and I wanted to call in to wait, do you have me on the video?
I do.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I do this as publicly
Because
as possible.
I know now
because-
that I know now. First of all, it's very nice to see you, Cameron. Happy New Year. It's the first time I've seen you this year.
Yes, Happy New Year. It is, yes. Nice to speak with you as well.
And I bring you're like one of the only people I bring up video wise all the time because I know it's just you want it. Usually I ask.
Yes, I'm desperate for attention. But I did want to call in to this is sort of a walk of shame or something. Retract some of the statements that I made the last time I called in. I
Go
spoke
ahead.
to my psychiatrist, who told me that he's first of all only Jewish, and that I was apparently suffering some sort of neurochemical event in my brain, which he described as a Joe Rogan experience.
Ah, okay.
And I want to apologize for any damage that I might have caused to you and your show. I know I am probably responsible for all the subscribers
Probably.
that you lost.
That's true. Everyone should.
At least though me, because I sort of don't have any money anymore, so I wasn't able to afford to. A lot of my backers pulled out. My deal with Skechers and
You had to deal with Skechers.
unrelated company. I don't want to get into that. But yeah. So in the new year, I'm hoping that I'll be able to recoup some of those losses and make it up to you and the wonderful community. Right now, I'm doing that through busking. So I'm
Are you bringing out that what instrument did you buy recently again? You brought it on the stream.
the accordion. Yeah, I had
Oh
a
right, yes. Are you
yeah,
busking with the
over here.
accordion?
Yeah. I did have to downgrade my accordion to a toy one, but it is what it is. We all gotta hustle. It's all about that hustle and grind, baby. But yeah, that's really all I had to say. And yes, the importance of going to CVS to get your medication. And you're doing great work out there. And I'll see you whenever you do another show, maybe. Or not. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have to...
What? Was that your marbles?
That was my busking hat. I forgot it was full of coins. Okay. Well, good night. Nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Cameron. Nice to see you too. Oh boy. That was great. That's the Cameron. That's the Cameron I know. That was good. Thank you for the call, Cameron. Oh my god. Whew. Cameron, I would say 99% of the time hits it out of the park. And then there was last time he called in. Oh man, I'm gonna have to talk about this WWE news. Let me take a few more calls. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, it's Charlie from Washington.
Hey, Charlie. Want me to pull you up on the screen?
Yeah, go for it.
What would you like to talk about, Charlie?
I'm actually kind of glad that your first caller brought up Bosch there, because that's actually what I wanted to call in about. Is
Okay.
that's kind of a reaching out to young men like that, particularly when they're looking for like advice on dating and whatnot. Trying to figure that out, and they're getting scooped up by the right. That's been an issue I've been trying to bring up in conversation for like a decade now. So, and for reasons, I've been single for about 16 years, not entirely voluntarily. I kind of have things going on now, so I'm not as worried about dating as I used to be. But so there was periods in my life where I would go and I would look for advice, and prior to like Jordan Peterson, all of them, it was like pickup artists and stuff like that. That I don't know if you remember. There's a whole fucking bubble of those like a decade or two ago. But I smelled scam pretty early on, and I'm also kind of lucky in that I can talk to women platonically, which I think a lot of these guys, they might just be really, really like anxious and nervous publicly. So it's really hard for them to go out and build community with other people. So like you pointed out, these guys on the right, they come up and they say they have all the easy answers. They say, hey, you just need to clean your room and straighten your back up, and you're not really the problem. It is the problem. It's all these feminists. They're out there telling women they could do this, that, and the other, and they're upsetting the natural hierarchy. And oh, by the way, have you heard about cultural Marxism? And then it just kind of goes on from there. And it's also kind of personal to me because two of my friends who have attempted suicide have kind of done so because they were in that hole. One of them unfortunately succeeded. The one who didn't, I still talk to and make it a point to talk to him, because it's that sense of isolation that gets them like really badly. So I've kind of often had a lot of thoughts, like if I had the equipment and like public speaking skill, like I would set up a channel and do just like a guys' night stream, because talking to you, watching your show live, watching the majority of your show report live, the even just a live chat, there's a sense of community there, right? That's got to be a useful tool we can do to kind of help, and then we can start telling them, like this is why feminism is actually good for you, because all of these insane standards, you have to have the best job and you have to compete all the time, the constant pissing match, and you have to get the girl or you're a loser, you're a beta male, all of that stuff hurts them really badly. And so like I said, it's been an issue I've been wanting to bring up for like decades.
Right.
And,
No, I was on the pickup artist thing early on, because that was quickly, that whole what was it, like, geez, late 2000s, maybe even,
yeah,
and then
like
early 2010s. There was a lot of pickup artist bullshit. Men's rights was taking hold.
the men going their own way and all that.
The MGTOWs, the men going their own way. And it was very obvious to me what they were doing, and they did it. They did exactly what we're talking about. They found a group of young men, and they basically helped bring about the whole anti-social justice warrior thing that basically we're still feeling the reverberations from the early 2010s, when it Gamergate comes up when people talk about this. And then the whole 4chan culture, because 4chan wasn't always like this. I mean, it was always trolling and people being general assholes and shit, but it wasn't political in this way. I mean, people forget fucking Anonymous came out of 4chan. And Anonymous isn't right wing. They're not right wing. They weren't right wingers. So yeah, I mean, this has been going on for a long time for sure. And again, the same thing though. We're just seeing a repeat. What easier way to, and that's sort of why I brought up the random. I mean, it sort of fits too for both eras. Like pickup artists were basically like, yeah, these are the tricks that you need to do, and your life will change with women and your
Yeah,
socializing
one simple
skills.
trick to short circuit through her brain. Yeah,
Yeah,
all that
and it
stupid
was
crap.
all
There
it
is
was
no,
all it
there's
was
no
all.
stupid crap like that.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, what were you saying? Go ahead. I cut you off. Please go ahead.
Oh no, I was just like agreeing. Yeah, the ones, all of those, I still get some of those freaking like where they like do the dry commercial thing, but it's like a 30-minute sales pitch.
Yeah,
Those
it's
are
like
just crap. I
it's
still hate
and
those.
also some of that shit's abusive too. By the way, like I think people know that if they're familiar, but it's very abusive. In terms of what the trick to pick up women, you basically have to abuse women,
Yeah,
which obviously is not a trick to pick up women. That's just their
no,
bullshit.
exactly. It's just it's some of that stuff. It seems like one step away from like, and then you drop this in, or just fuck, man. But
Yeah.
I kind of get why a lot of people don't want to do this, because like often they're targeted by these men after they've been gotten to, or even kind of during, because they don't always really know to think of other people, because we don't really teach men to do that as much as we should. We don't really teach them how to deal with their emotions as much as they should. Like one of the sad things really about transitioning now is my doctor told me like the estrogen is going to make you more emotional. I told her I'm already pretty emotional. I don't think it's going to really do anything. And you know what? It really hasn't made me more emotional, but I have felt more like I'm able to be that without feeling like shit for doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's sad. There are tons of guys who are lefties, who are good, decent guys. There's gotta be something we could do that, because Vosh was right when he pointed to Jordan Peterson and said like we're losing to this guy. This guy, he's a flaming idiot. Look, he's just over there in a corner drooling, and that's winning. We can do better.
Yeah.
I understand why he can be kind of off-putting, because like what he does to get his audience roped in is off-putting to a lot of people. That's fair, and I think he could probably do well to learn when to turn that off, especially when he's talking to left-leaning people, because that's probably where he goes most wrong. But overall, like, he's not the worst. Like if that's the farthest right we went, then we'd be pretty good. But like he has a lot of good points, and like he was talking about
Peterson.
No, Vosh.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got confused for a second. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. Oh, no,
Listen,
Vosh, I don't have any issue with Vosh. No. I mean,
I understand where he's not everybody's cup of tea, because he talks the way he does and acts the way he does to rope in that Beavis and Butthead crowd.
I'm completely
But
outside the YouTube leftist drama and all the stuff in terms of like why so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so. I'm completely divorced from that whole world. I have no idea. I know that there are people who get mad at me when I interact with Vosh, and I don't understand why. And I know people who are happy when I interact with Vosh. And in terms of anything more than it just being like me talking with another leftist YouTuber, I don't get why, honestly. He's just a very successful lefty YouTuber, in my opinion. I don't know what the details behind the strong feelings against him are, honestly.
Well, and the last time I talked to you, it was really enjoyable to watch, because his demeanor kind of like shifted out of his normal troll king mode, which
well, maybe I have that effect on people. He was very happy to see me on the election night. He screamed out "man" because he didn't realize I was on the stream at first. So maybe I bring out the best in him, and maybe he brings out the best in me. We had a good discussion about Ukraine not too long ago, which I thought was a great discussion.
I feel like you kind of have a way of like drawing out a friendly conversation mode out of people, because I kind of feel that talking to you, but personally, but like that's
I thank you.
Not here or there, but yeah.
Maybe
like
I do need to become a self-help person. Maybe I need to become that. Maybe I need to.
You can't do any worse than everybody else out there. I mean,
let me. What's you
don't have 33 Bugattis, although I guess Tate doesn't either anymore.
What's a good
that
name
police
for?
Force is going to be driving around in Bugattis now. That's hilarious.
Do I start a university, or do I start write a book? What do I do? Let me see. 10,000 easy steps to better your life with Matt Binder. There we go.
With your university, I can see it now.
Right,
You do all
yeah.
these fancy. Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
but yeah, guys, if you're out there, you're beautiful. Guys are beautiful. There's
Straight
nothing wrong
edge
with
you.
emotions.
How to
It-
change
it-
your life by cutting out alcohol, drugs, cigarettes. 'Cause straight edge means I'm better than you. That's a whole straight edge thing. Go the CM Punk route. And I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but yeah.
I should have been a wrestling fan because it sounds like a bunch of stunt guys get together, beat the crap out of each other in the ring, and then they write a soap opera around it. And I would be kind of there for it as Kid Me, to be honest.
Lord Arion on YouTube just said top G Matt Binder. Oh no! Please don't anyone call me that any lame top G or I'm top
You
B.
can only do
I'm
the
the top
G
B.
thing if you could get the rights to use Danger Zone as your like intro thing, and then you show up with like 3 pairs of shades on. Just
Whoa,
really go Macho Man, Randy Savage crazy with it.
Yeah.
that guy was a character.
Hybrid Vigor on YouTube says just fucking quit sugar. It's that easy. Wrong. Soda plays a huge part in my life. So the person that you see, part of it is soda. Brought to you by Big Sugar.
I have tried to cut sugar out of my diet before, and even being moderately successful, I dropped like 60 pounds. It was crazy, but like it's hard. Sugar is in literally everything, even things you wouldn't think sugar is supposed to be in. It's fucking in there. They do that to you.
Yeah. I know sugar's bad for you, but maybe it's my thing. Maybe it's my specific thing.
Hey, every worker's got a crutch, man. That's how it works. We all got a vice somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, Charlie. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much, and happy 2023, bud.
You too. All right, I gotta address this news, being that we brought up wrestling. So everyone who's gonna call in, just give me a second, because this has got to be addressed. So since the last time I spoke with you all, Vince McMahon has forced himself back into the WWE. You might remember over the summer, WWE CEO and executive chairman of the board basically had to resign from the company after all of these allegations started coming out about, not just proof too, that he paid off women. And the allegations were for, inappropriate sexual advances, assaults. And so he resigned from the company, and his daughter and his son-in-law and another executive took over, and everyone was super excited, fans in terms of like hardcore wrestling fans, because it's long been thought that, WWE was being held back by a lot of Vince McMahon stuff. Obviously, he's not a good person if that stuff is what he was doing too, on top of that. This is a company that's ostensibly also advertises to children. It's PG. A lot of kids go to these events. They sell merchandise to kids. And so, people, in terms of what he did, he resigned. In terms of wrestling fans, they were happy he was gone because it was time for a new era or whatever. And since we last talked, he's forced himself back into the company. Now, he always held the majority of shares. He owns like 80% of the shares. So decisions always fell into his lap, even outside. But he wasn't a member of the company officially. He was just a shareholder. And so, so he forced himself back in, kicked off members of the board who he did not want on there. And people were wondering what the hell is going on here. And there was rumors that the company is going to be sold. And people were wondering who it's going to be sold to. Apparently Comcast has been interested. Disney has been interested. Fox has been interested. And all these sound bad or maybe good to you. I don't know. All these sound maybe like something you'd be interested in, or maybe something that would ruin the company. Maybe something he would be interested in, or maybe something that would ruin the company or whatever. But one player came out that was interested in buying the company that would easily be the worst. and that's the Saudi fund, the fund that Saudi Arabia uses to basically bring in companies and do the things they do. They've brought WWE. They made a contract with WWE for like a 10-year deal a couple of years ago for them to come multiple times a year. They pay them a shit ton of money to come and do a WWE event in order to try to fix their image, and their image being the Saudis' image. There are wrestlers who have a real problem going over to Saudi Arabia to do these shows, and some of them refuse to do it and don't go. But anyway, Vince comes back. He's now on the board. Today, he forces his way back into being chairman of the board. His daughter, Stephanie McMahon. Now, whatever you think of the McMahons and whatever you think of Stephanie, there is no doubt that Stephanie McMahon is way better than her father. She's someone who clearly, I don't believe she honestly cares about this stuff, but she's aware of how social issues look on the company. So she's been always, the corporate social mumbo jumbo bullshit is better than just not caring flat out and not giving a shit about how this stuff works or looks, I should say. They both suck, but one is better than the other in my estimation. Because, for example, if someone was to do something horrendous, say something racist, a talent was to do something racist under Vince, I'm sure he wouldn't give a shit. Under Stephanie, I'm sure she would have gone through the motions of punishing that person or releasing them because it would reflect badly on the company. Did she really care about that issue? Probably not, but one is better than the other. Anyway, she resigns from the company today. She's gone. She's out of WWE. And now there are rumors floating around that the WWE has officially sold to the Saudis. These are just rumors right now. They're coming from some of the biggest trustworthy names who are adding the addendum that these are rumors in the wrestling coverage world, the wrestling journalist world. This would change the entirety of the pro wrestling landscape without a doubt. I don't know how WWE could continue to focus on its women's division if the Saudis actually start to run the WWE. The women were originally not allowed to wrestle in the WWE when they went to Saudi Arabia. Eventually, they were able to have a match on the show if they basically agreed not to do certain things, and they had to completely cover every inch of their skin from the neck down. So they would wear these full-on bodysuits. Now, I'm no fan of the era of pro wrestling where women were basically eye candy and were just basically wearing bikinis and bullshit like that. But also, they should be allowed to wear the athletic gear that they feel most comfortable in and are allowed to freely move about in. Are there some who might prefer those bodysuits? Sure, so let them wear it. Are there others who probably don't? I'm sure. So you could guarantee that in any sense that there's still a women's division, it would look a lot different. After all this progress in basically women having the ability to go out there and use their TV time to put on some great athletic matches, the same as the men do. It's gonna be bad for WWE fans. I am guessing Triple H would not be in charge of creative. He's in charge still right now, but I'm going to assume that he's not going to be if that's the case. There's rumor that Vince specifically came back in to do the Saudi deal because they went directly to him, and that they would let him continue to lead the company, which is why he wanted to do all this. I mean, I again, a lot of it's rumors right now, but Stephanie being gone is not. She announced it herself. Vince being chairman of the board once again and forcing out a bunch of board members is also true. It's been announced as well. It's any sort of progress wrestling has made to be more progressive is going to be straight down the toilet, at least with the WWE. On the bright side, there are now, if this happened years ago, this wouldn't be the case, many alternatives who can step in. People need to, frankly, all give those other companies a chance to help them grow and put them on a level playing field with WWE. AEW, New Japan, even Impact. Tons of great indies out there. Tons of great promotions in Mexico as well. AAA. CMLL. I mean, it would be bad. It'd be bad for wrestling fans. On a broader cultural level too, I think it'd be bad. If you don't care about any of that, maybe this doesn't affect you at all. But I mean, having the premier live entertainment company in the United States be owned by, I mean, they are the biggest traveling live show, I believe, in the world. Because they're not a sport. They're sports entertainment. I think that'd be bad. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Matt? It's Omega.
Hey, Omega, can I put you up on the screen?
Sure.
First, before we
You
go
know, I
any
wanted
further,
to jump in when, yeah.
before we go any further, I tried to reach out to you 2 weeks ago so you could meet up with me and Dave from Jamaica, but you didn't answer.
It must have gone to my spam or something like that because I was like checking them out. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And I told Ola, it's like. I
emailed you. I emailed you twice on New Year's Eve.
Ah, damn. It must have been. Yeah, I know. It was a big chaos where I was at too. And don't mind the background there. It's just a garbage truck just backing it up right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna comment saying that this whole thing with Vince coming back is like if they're trying to do that Saudi deal, I seriously will not watch the WWE ever again. Like 100% full stop. Because I've only been watching the pay-per-views and I was trying to watch clips here and there, which I should do better with because I'll be missing so much context to things. But my whole situation is like, yeah, because then if these people get a hold of it, then what kind of shit's gonna happen regarding the women and all this, and anybody else that wants to come in that's not or anybody who's queer that steps into, because there's got to be some queer wrestlers among them. I mean, it can't just be Shayna Baszler and Rhea Ripley constantly teasing everybody and their mom about being queer and stuff like that. But I digress with that. But it's just like a whole situation in itself, to be honest with you, that you just can't have that happen. You're really going to kill the product, and you're really going to make it like not feasible to people to watch anymore, because hell, like, and also you're not going to, the newer audience is probably not going to be as into it for the simple fact that like if you eliminate like a good chunk of the wrestlers just in that part alone, then you're not going to really have a good shot at getting people to continue to follow. And then even the older crowd is going to be like, why'd you literally cut this out? And then why are you trying to appease them now? It's a little fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And sorry, I'm just trying to maneuver the camera here because there's a very distinct building near me, and then if I'm literally gonna out exactly where I am at. But yeah, there's that situation, and it's like everything that Triple H was trying to do to literally get everybody in a better place and put a lot of people in place to like start, being elevated, and a lot of people to really finally be able to do what they do. That's also going to be shot to hell. And then, then a lot of people are pretty much like the people who went to AEW, the people who went to Japan, or the people, Sasha Banks went to Japan. which is the most bizarre thing to me. But you know what? She can do that because she's such a name now. It doesn't even matter. And it's like all these other people who left, who were contemplating coming back because Trips is in charge. It's like, well, now it's like they're probably very, thankful that they don't have to like deal with Vince's smug ass again, because it's like in typical Vince fashion, he's gonna force himself back
there
in.
were tons of people who were like, "Oh, I'm so angry! I signed with the AEW. When if I knew Vince was gonna leave and Triple H and Stephanie would be in charge, I would have stayed, or I would have signed with WWE." It's like, I mean, they failed to
And the
realize.
AEW political and AEW quality wise started to dip a little bit too around that time. If people notice, I was like, it's a lot of the. It's always a very very seesaw type of matter with these things. It wasn't a simple matter of like, okay, oh, there you go. Okay. It was a matter of like a lot of seesawing going back and forth, and it's never like a simple amount of, they're both doing good, because it's always like sometimes when one company dips in quality, the other one kind of picks up the slack somehow, and actually magically gets better. And it's like it's not something that could be easily explained. It just always goes down that way. And when WWE was like in bad quality, about 5 years ago, more people were flocking to watching Japan. I know I was, because there was an alternative there. And it's like now that WWE is getting better, and now everybody else is kind of like, I mean, if you want to watch it, you can. It's just not going to be that good. And now it's like, all right, hopefully AEW steps it up and then doesn't have to. They're not scared anymore of like people getting pushed right back from them after the fact that they went to AEW because of all the politics that Vince pulled. I know Keith Lee was one such person that wanted to like jump back, and you could tell, because it's like, hey, your spouse is in the other company and she's finally doing better, and then the person who was your boss when you were in developmental is in charge of the whole thing now, and it's going to get better. But it's like, you don't want to be such a ship jumper also. That's the other thing that a lot of these people just got to remember, because if you look like a ship jumper that much, forget it. Like, I think Christian got kind of like treated that way by management in some places when like he was not doing so good, and he would just like jump to this other place and be like, oh yeah, yay, he's going to be champion. And they went back to WWE and they had him like toiling in ECW for 2 years. That whole matter.
Right.
It's such a disaster, to be honest with you. It's like, because everything was getting so good, and actually I was even contemplating watching more regularly again, but then it goes back to this, and it's like, I'm gonna wait till all this stuff unfolds first before I go back to like at least giving them my little bit of ratings. I don't know if me watching helps at all, but if it does, I'm definitely not gonna contribute that. But I also got rid of Sling, so I can't watch AEW like I used to either. So I have to rely on Peacock to watch WWE anyway. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Have you?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think AEW is gonna have to step it up big time.
Yeah, especially
if
after
this
the whole
is
stuff
if
with
whatever happens here, whatever ends up being the case, AEW is gonna have to step it up big time, and they're gonna have to. I mean, I think the biggest thing, and I love AEW, but I'm a big fan of what they've been doing. I think they've got great wrestling. I think
they have like so much
I
talent
think-
there that they can easily work with them, but sometimes they
but
just
having
don't
a lot of
always know what to
talent's
do.
not bad if you have everything scheduled out.
Yeah, if you know what to do with them, then it's good. But if you don't have the slightest clue,
Here's
then
the
you're just
thing,
kind of
and
having
I-
people warming
I-
a seat.
I know Tony Khan doesn't want to do this, but he needs to hire writers, because one individual can simply cannot do the job of multiple people, no matter how much. If he wants to do it the Vince thing and have final say over the final script, he could do that. A final person can see everything on paper and say, "Oh, I like that idea, but I don't like this one." But a single person cannot come up with it all. It's just
It
not
has not
possible.
worked for decades.
It's not
for
possible.
many decades.
It's not possible.
Yeah, right as they started doing weekly television and wrestling as a whole, that's when they should have gotten more writers in general too. So like in the late 80s, early 90s was when they needed to start doing that anyways, because it was just Vince and Pat Patterson just giving people, oh, you're gonna be 1, 2, 3 Kid, you're gonna be so and so, you're gonna be Hillbilly Jim, X, Y, or Z. but that's all you're gonna get because it's just these two people, and then they're trying to make it super cartoonish, and they realize the family friendly stuff was okay, and yada yada yada. But it didn't work after a while, and people kind of turned away from it, and that's why WWE got where it got, because there's a touch more people like, you know, dishing out stuff for the people to do. So like it got incrementally better that way. It didn't get incrementally better when there was just a handful of people there. And it's like, I know the core members of the Elite are gonna like, they could easily work with people really well and stuff like that. But you got to get more people, honestly. Just get more people. Get some former just do a better mix than what WWE did. Get a mix of legends and like writers or whatever for TV maybe, but ones that would totally be on board with like the product of wrestling, and then be on board to actually learn this stuff instead of just like giving people such crappy things that only work for a television show but not work for like a wrestling show.
Right.
So it's a balance that they just have to strike, and then they have to like keep going with and stick to. That's the only reason why like some of the best times in wrestling existed, because you had like a perfect balance of everything in place, or like just a really solid balance in the very least. And that's what got people's eye and got people to talk about and remember things. It's never just like too much of this or the other thing. You just can't do that. So many people try, and it's like it doesn't work. And like New Japan had a model like where it was just purely wrestling, but eventually when they got more foreign wrestlers coming in, then they did more storylines, and you could see that the influence from like the West was like taking over a bit, and that's why we got things like Bullet Club and whatnot. So it was just a lot of that they had to like bring in, but they had to see it for themselves and see that it worked.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
At least Tony Khan is a touch more open-minded.
Hopefully, if this is true, I'm hoping it's not. I'd honestly rather see literally any company, even Fox, honestly, would be better than this.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny if like Fox owned it and essentially Disney would? I don't know. Would Disney own that if say WWE was bought up by Fox? Would Disney kind of own it in a way too?
No, because I heard Disney was interested, but obviously nothing came out of that. Or maybe nothing. Or maybe something will come out of it. We don't know yet. Again, I'm hearing the same thing from literally all the most trusted names who cover pro wrestling in the pro wrestling world. Journalists who constantly break news about what's going to happen, and backstage news stuff, and business, like insidery business stuff in the WWE and AEW. And some have gone out to report it. Some are saying this is just rumors, but they're hearing this from their sources too, even though they can't confirm it yet. I think it's notable that so many people in this world are hearing this same thing right now. If it's not true, either they all have the same group of sources who got bad news, who got bad, details, or something ends up falling through. But I don't know. I don't know at this point.
If something falls through, it just better be the Saudis. I cannot with that. Like we don't need that. And also the wrestlers would also be fucking scared shitless, because remember what happened when they went there? It's like when they got held up because Vince got angry regarding the money or whatever, something like that. But it's like, dude, a good chunk of those wrestlers cannot even go there as often as, they can't go there at all, period. And also, I'd assume half of them don't feel safe after a while going to there and be like, okay, I'm going to be here and I cannot say anything bad. And it becomes an even more dangerous political climate, almost like literally now, because I mean, in a more like actual governmental sense, not just like in an entertainment sense where you got to be buddied up with people and stuff like that. Right. It's like even more dangerous for them, because then it's like, if they don't like what these people would have for their character, then it's like, I gotta leave the company, but I gotta stop. I cannot say a word, because the problem is that, I mean, what happened to a journalist that talked about them? And then it's like, they're gonna be worried about ending up like him. Like, it's like, please, God, no, I do not want them to like own anything from here at this point.
Right.
Yeah, and like poor Sami Zayn is probably like the most nervous out of them, because he's from a group that literally like has like issues that would have a lot of like what is it, like
international problems with the Saudis or whatever, and it's like he would immediately have to like jump ship if that sale falls through, and then it's them that gets it. I mean, goes through. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
This is I'm trying to take in all this stuff. None of it's confirmed 100%. But perfect time for you to call in. I'm happy you did.
First 10 days. It's been a chaotic first 10 days this year. Some people turn out to be sickos. So, freaking whole last January 6th situation happened, and it's like, and then a whole last like almost fight happened in Congress or whatever. It's like, what is going on? It's seriously becoming like end times. Like, how do you have that much going on in a loaded 10 days? It almost feels like an entire year's worth of stuff already happened. You know?
Right.
Anyways,
I'm trying to look things up here. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get an answer tonight probably because it's 11:30, and
yeah,
I mean it's
take a while,
AM and it's AM in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they probably would have said something if they did make a purchase of some kind too. So that puts me at ease a little bit.
All right, man. Pleasure talking to you, especially as this news comes out. Have a great night. Talk to you soon.
Also, I'll be at Left Reckoning, by the way. The Left Reckoning show that they're having out here. I got my ticket
when
there.
When is that again?
That is going to be, I just forgot the date. I think it's the 22nd, but I'm not sure. One of those days.
Probably.
Are you going to be?
Probably would not be able to go to that.
It's all good. It's all good. I'll go in your stead, and it'll be cool to meet Kowalski, and I'll take some pictures and then, show it off to Twitter as well.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Have a great night.
Later. All right. Bye.
Bloop bloop. Hey, what's your name? Oh. Hello. Oh, I just lost them. That was weird. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's Rem from calling from Oregon.
Excuse me, sorry. Hey Rem, can I pull you up on the feed?
Sure.
What did they talk about?
One thing is kind of old news, but not really. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but haven't got a chance to call in, but now I do. So do you remember the article I was telling you about my friend who was on the NPR article, Mia Rose, talking about this gun law and that's trying to ban magazines more than 10 rounds? Do you remember that at all?
No.
Okay. It was just like November, the article came out. And they got a lot of attention, especially among the left, especially a lot of people on Reddit. It was pretty cool. So, and then Mia showed me that there's this lady on a YouTuber named Liberty Doll. I never heard of them. And they basically made a hit piece on my friend, and just basically shitting all over the article. And their video is called "The Left is Suddenly Against Gun Control."
What?
I just don't know what to say to that, because I'm watching it and it's like, are they doing this on purpose? Because the left and the libs, they're not the same, but she must be doing that on purpose. But I got a ton of views, and I'm just like, wow, I feel like all these people are getting the wrong idea of what a leftist is. And it's just ironic to me how they have that title, that clickbaity, catchy title. And it's just interesting because the NRA was for gun control when the Black Panthers started arming themselves. It's very interesting. As well as the Virginia gun rally back in, 2020? Yeah, the anti-fascists were weren't mad about the right wingers marching for saying no to gun control, and all the anarchists, the far left, was just like, we're not gonna protest them. They're not out there being bigots. They're just, yeah, we're against all these gun control laws that are just going to make things harder for people to obtain guns. Because it's always a double-edged sword. Mostly bad, but I don't know. It's just frustrating. And in the middle of the video, they're kind of praising how all their gear, Mia's gear, and their gun and their attachments and everything. And then I guess it's just a shame it's got Antifa stuff all over it. No, that's the problem. That's
Who
the
is
only
this again?
problem. This is Liberty Doll. I can send you their video
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, please do.
so you can see this, and it's just, at least you can. It's just very interesting. I just want to call them out, but I don't know how. They're too big.
Well, let's see. Send it to me.
Sure. Yeah. 1 minute. And just put this one. Yeah. Here we go.
All right, you dropped it in the Skype thing.
Oh, the Skype.
Oh, where'd you send it to me then? Where'd you send it to me?
Twitter.
Oh, I could find it. That's easy. It's enough. DM'd it to me or?
I think so. Yeah. I could put it in chat just in case you can't find it. No,
I see it.
worries.
I see it.
Oh.
Let's see. Liberty Doll.
Mm-hmm.
Got 250,000 subscribers.
Yeah, and that specific video got almost 400,000 views. It's just insane how much people watch this person. Just, whoa. So I feel like they have a skewed perspective and idea of the left. So it's very frustrating because most of the leftists I know, yeah, for sure. Most of the leftists I know, the ones I respect, they all have guns, all of them, and they're obsessed. And I don't know. It's just like, do you not know anybody, Liberty Doll? I don't know. I think she's just being a propagandist. I don't know.
Well, she's probably, what a lot of right wingers do is they don't know the difference between the various ideologies on that spectrum.
Right.
Yeah,
And they don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want to like give any nuance to the left. It's just, it's all one umbrella. They're just bad. They're woke. They're crazy. They're shoving everything down our throats, which is just laughable. I don't know. Other than that, that was just kind of an interesting thing. They were just like 100% wrong about my friend Mia. They're highly trained. They trained others, and they're training me. I'm learning how to shoot, and it's great. They're a pro. Because if they weren't, then I guess I would be like, I probably wouldn't say anything. I mean, no, but they're incredible. They're the real deal when it comes to an armed lefty, anti-fascist.
Yeah, sounds. I'm glad you sent this to me. I want to. Always interested in hearing, and seeing some of this stuff that I never even heard of. That obviously, Liberty Doll. Okay, I'm guessing this is a libertarian.
They seem like it because
liberty-minded news, discussion, and witticisms with a little punk rock and vintage pinup flair. I doubt there's any punk rock.
Oh, I knew you were gonna like that part. Oh my god.
You can't be.
No, you can't.
Yeah, no, not gonna. Well, right wing punks, always funny.
Indeed. I think that their recent post on Twitter of a video was about pot. So yeah, there you go. They make fun of trans people, and then another whining about pot. It's just like, okay, all right, you do you. I guess if you can let me talk about a couple more things.
No, go ahead.
So, So I want to talk about the Bosch thing. I think it's been talked about enough, especially on Twitter. I just don't like Bosch. Never did. Just gives me bad vibes. Everyone's like, "What's wrong with them?" And I'm something. And just that one tweet about how the left is at fault for not reaching out to 12-year-old Nazis. You don't understand. I've been harassed by young teen Nazis on Instagram, everywhere. It's not fun, and they're vile. There's no changing some of them.
Right.
You can, but and Vosh is more than welcome to do it.
We have to. I think we have to separate the people who actually are taken advantage of with the people who actually are true believers. Like a lot of times there are people on the left who think, oh, if only we reached out to, well, no, some people just hate people who are different than them, and that's who they are. Like it's not a scapegoat thing. It's not they were convinced this way. No, some people just become Nazis. Like they literally, that's who they are. They're not being fooled. They're not strayed. They're strayed the wrong way. Some people just unfortunately are bad people.
Yeah, and I've seen lots of so-called lefties who have a fascist past. Cool, kudos. I mean, you're gonna have to put effort into not being a fascist and just leaving that kind of world. But it's not our job. It's not women's job. It's not like trans people's jobs to Nazis and go help them when they're just very, very, very vile and cruel and send you all kinds of death threats, and it's not fun. So we don't really want to waste our mental health and time. So it's not our job. That's all I gotta say.
Right.
And speaking of which, because someone put that Vosh sexually harassed some girls in the past, he apologized. Like,
I did not know
guess.
this. Where's this? Again, I don't know any of this.
It's just within the discussion. It's just within the discussion. We're just calling him out about that because he openly admitted it. It was like a tweet, and he's like, "Well, I've done it in the past, and I've changed." And just okay, all right. I just wasn't there at the time, so I
it's
wasn't.
part of like he was saying like he was once one of those type of people.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no,
I mean, he might have. Yeah, he might have. Well, I mean, he did it while he was famous, so he did that like I don't know, a couple years ago, several years ago. I'm not exactly sure. But it does kind of correlate with other things. There's been a lot of people on the left being called out as sex pests, and they've been Me Too'd. Some of them have big platforms, some of them don't. Like Andrew Callahan just recently.
I saw that. I was I can't say anything because I didn't really I didn't follow his work, honestly. I honestly did. I saw some of his stuff. I thought it was good. I thought he had a good way of putting his material together. I thought in terms of his specific analysis, I thought that was lacking big time. So that's why I was sort of confused by why so many people were really into him. I thought he was, not at the level I thought some. Again, quality wise, it was superb quality.
All right. Andrew Callahan was mid to you this whole time. All right.
No, I just thought his analysis wasn't that great.
Right.
I thought it was sort of lacking at times, honestly.
I just figured he had a good head start in journalism and whatever, but then it turns out he's quite the sex pest. And if you listen to these girls, there's two. They have videos. They're on.
I did see one of them. Yeah.
TikTok. There's cornbread casserole on TikTok, and I forgot this other girl.
And I think there's even more. Stories, I think there's multiple people in the comments who are coming out.
I think there's 5 or 6. A
lot more than just the 2 who did the video who've come out.
All the stories are similar in the sense that the tactics of Andrew are similar. And like Bill Cosby, he had a tactic of drugging women for decades, and no one knew. A lot of people did know. They just didn't say anything. But we live in an age where people feel like they have to say something about their sexual assault. They're like, some people just don't realize it. They block it out. And when Andrew's face is everywhere, all these girls are like, shit. I mean, they were like coming on to me pretty hard. Maybe it was rape. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm pretty sure I said no. And they just hide it away because it's scary to come out with this stuff because you don't know what's going to happen to you. But I think these girls will be protected enough. I mean, I don't know. It's frustrating because a lot of people looked up to Andrew, and I just watched his documentary on YouTube on HBO, and it was pretty good. If you've already familiar with his channel, it's pretty much the same sort of, except it's more of a movie form. But again,
I wonder what, because he just put out that documentary on HBO, right?
yeah, he was been working on it for years.
I wonder what happens there. Oh boy.
I don't know. It's not good. Look, it's you would think like, oh, someone's probably trying to smear him. No. If you listen to them, it's detailed. There's they don't want to share them per se. I think they did because people were like, well, we need to see them. And it's frustrating. They're just like, we should just believe us anyway. Just believe us. And like, there's no harm in believing them, even if we're wrong.
All right.
So just believe sexual assault survivors. It's not hard. And some people are like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's very coincidental that it comes out now. Well, like I just said, when you see your sexual assaulter face everywhere, it might trigger you, trigger memories, trigger new memories. It's just not fun to go through. What was it? There was another lefty, like a Twitter account that I had for years. His name is Dennis is Peasant on Twitter. A lot of us on the Majority Report community, everyone followed him. They sometimes make some viral tweets, but turns out they're also a sex pest. They sexually assaulted someone, and then they admitted to it, but they keep I don't know, every time men want to like apologize, they do it wrong almost every time. They want to try and make themselves better than they actually are, or just lie more. I don't know. Same thing with Virgil, Texas. Where's Virgil, Texas?
Yeah, I have no idea. I got no idea
No
what's
one
going
knows.
on with
Nobody
any of this
knows.
shit. It's just, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Why people, why
So
people are weirdos. Honestly, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
It's very
just
easy.
just
It's very easy to not be a weirdo. And
Yeah,
I say
a
weirdo as
creep.
in the bad weirdo, not the good way of being a weirdo.
Yeah, just don't be a creep.
Yeah,
Stop
that's the word I'm
advan-
looking for. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, just don't wear.
I've gone through my life being able to not be, at least I think so. Maybe other people.
Right.
I hope no one thought I've been creepy, but I've never done
No.
anything like the stuff you're hearing from these other people. That's just
Right. Pressuring them to have sex. Yes,
that's
that's all it really is. It's not. They wear them down and then finally say yes, and then that's not consent. If you wear them down, they finally say yes. That's not the same. They think it's a win. Like, oh, finally.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, dude, has he? Do you know if he's said anything about these? The
No, not
allegations?
yet.
No.
Not yet. And it's crazy because he was just on Hassan and Abi's show, like in his house. It's just awkward, It's like, and then I saw Hassan react to it. Sucks, because he considered him a friend, like our friend of the show, and it's like this is. And I just got done watching a bunch of Hassan videos where one of his sex worker friends was came out with some allegations against their husband or whatever, and then a few other friends. So he's been dealing with a lot of videos around, and some of them, at least most of them, around this time are a bunch of lefties. So if someone's left wing, it doesn't make you safe. It doesn't make them any safer. Just you never know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this was the thing. I remember a couple of years ago there was that leftist media list of people in media who were considered lefties who had done who had allegations of abuse against them. Women were coming out and putting their names on this spreadsheet with what they did to them or what they had done. And there's some people who were put on that list that I've not heard anything from since that list came out. Like they completely vanished.
Figures.
I mean, depending on what it is. I mean, I think it's very simple for people to come out and take responsibility for something like this. Again, depending on what it is. I think a great example actually is fucking Jamie Kilstein, who was on Citizen Radio. I don't know if anyone remembers Jamie Kilstein. He's basically doing this thing where he's tracking to the right wing now. He was like an atheist, vegan, progressive, and now he's a Christian, and he's hanging out with gun groups and stuff like that, and yeah.
Oh, of course.
And his thing, the thing that got him removed from this whole world is that, and he's someone who I was invited over to his house back in the day to watch MMA because he was a fan of MMA, and I was at the time a fan of MMA because Brock Lesnar was in the UFC, and he had allegations against him that he was inappropriate with an intern, and other allegations where he was just basically being weird and creepy with women that him and his wife were friends with, and from what I remember hearing, if he came out and took responsibility for what he did, none of the allegations were so bad. Like, he didn't rape anybody. I don't think it got to the point of him actually assaulting anybody in any way. But if he actually just took responsibility and went and got himself some help, he could have probably come out of it and used that stuff as, you know, I'm a different person now with time and truly wanting forgiveness for being an asshole to people. But instead, he did the route where he wouldn't put out a statement. He disappeared. He disappeared for a long time. The show ended up shutting down. Him and his wife got a divorce, if I recall. I don't know if that happened before the allegations or not, though. And years later, I find that there are allegations against him in the MMA community where he was hitting on his students at an MMA place on the West Coast. And it's like, the dude obviously is not learned anything.
No, he's a sexual predator.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's like, listen, I could understand people make mistakes for certain things. Yeah. People can be dicks. People can, but but you got to take responsibility. And there are also things where I think once you get to the physical part, I think it's very hard for you to come back around. I think that, but before that, I mean, I think you could turn yourself around and actually maybe, depending on what it is, take responsibility. Right. But these guys a lot of times don't want to do that. Even for things that comedians. They can be. Yeah. It's like
that get called out.
Right. Like the way Louis C.K. handled his whole thing.
Just thinking him.
Like he obviously is this weird, I think it's a step, like it is a sexual thing, but he, from what I recall hearing, didn't physically touch those women, but it still was a very sexual thing, obviously.
So far, we know that, yeah.
Yes, and I believe he did stop them from leaving. Like, he just blocked the door. Like, he didn't... I don't recall him hearing he physically restrained them from leaving, but he did what he did in front of the door.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's going to be people who don't forgive you for that, obviously, and they're well within their right, but if you actually took responsibility and actually, you know, disappeared for a few years or not tried to just pretend nothing happened for a few years, it actually realized that this is something that I need to focus on fixing with myself and that other people deserve apologies and things like that. And you speak with those people if they even want to speak with you. But he didn't do that. He just decided that he shouldn't have to face any sort of repercussions and he could just go back to doing his comedy. And
for sure.
He becomes like a cancel culture guy.
Quadrupled down, and they all do that. It's frustrating because they don't want to be seen as this bad person. It's just like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe just don't do creepy, weird stuff like that.
Right. And I'm not saying uh, Louis C.K. didn't do anything horrible. I'm saying there are levels.
Right.
And
Oh,
his
right.
is in this
Yeah.
weird in between level where he could have, I think, probably come around if he actually took responsibility, but he didn't care to do that.
Yeah, well, I just do just no trust for him or anyone like him or anyone who sides with him or defends him or just ignores it. Those are red flags too. Like when you get to know somebody, I like to throw in politics right away. I don't care. I'll do that, and then I'll get a good sense on who they are. Um, I don't know what else I try and do.
Right. And also, I'm not saying
maybe
that I would. I want to be clear. I'm not saying. I mean, for me,
Right.
I heard the Louis C.K. stuff. I heard I never reached out to Jamie Kill. I haven't spoken to him since those allegations came out. For me, my personal is you do some fucking weird ass shit like that, I'm done with you personally. But I can see how there are levels, and I would be understanding of careers being turned around, people being able to turn their careers around if they were, if they did something on a certain level and actually looked for forgiveness.
Yeah, but they don't do that. They just
Yeah.
disappear thinking it'll blow over, then somehow they get a ton of money for a comeback. Like Mel Gibson, gross, why is he coming back? All these other people just keeps floating back into the limelight trying to get back into the game, and they just look pathetic. It is very frustrating. Just escaping any kind of responsibility or culpability. It's very, very irritating. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say about that.
I think like for a lot of things, people just don't know how to handle things. Honestly, it's very, very bizarre. Like
Accusations. No one can handle accusations.
they don't know how to handle the like. First of all, like if you have an allegation like that, you're basically need to understand that you can't just say sorry and everything goes back to normal. There's going to be a time process.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And also, people are allowed to not, like individual people are allowed to not think it's fine. Like just cut you off completely. And you just have to accept that. You don't have to continue to, if those specific go after those specific individuals. In fact, they'd probably prefer you not to do that. You just have to accept it. And people don't accept these things. They just feel like they want to be in control. But that's sort of the issue that got them there in the first place, right? That they need to be in control.
Always, yeah. That is very true. It's a scary presence to be in. But yeah, I can kind of relate, but that's a story from another time. What was it? I had something else, but I guess not. Oh yeah, there's fascists in Brazil freaking out.
Yeah, I didn't get to that. I probably have to do an episode on that.
I think Renee wants you. I think they might have someone for you, but they're looking. They might already have one right now. I don't know. I forgot to ask because we talked about it the other day. But yeah, I'll get going so you can talk about other stuff maybe.
I just realized the time actually. I think I'm going to maybe take one more call and then call it a night.
For sure. I just want to plug in my friend Mia Rose. Go follow them on Instagram as Mia or Miss Mia.Rose, ms.mia. And then Rose, and then you can follow them there if you want to. Get some anti-fascist memes from them. That's what they do. They post a lot of memes, a lot of funny stuff, and a bunch of field manual information, like training or med training. Really cool. I like it. And I'm helping them with stuff too. So I've been filming for them when they go to the range and shoot for videos. But that's it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for the call, as always, Rem.
For sure. Take it easy, Matt.
Bye. All right. I will take one more call. Whoever calls in, I saw that there were a few people trying to call in before. One more call. One more call. Where are they? Oh. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
G'day, Matt. It's John from Australia. How you doing?
Hello, John from Australia. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Hey, I saw your CES adventures. Great calls today and a great interview as well. Great first half of the show.
Thank you.
And I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to be at CES given the geography of the thing, even that it's so far away. But I was there in spirit. Something that I worked on was shown at CES.
Oh yeah, what was it?
I'm not allowed to tell you.
Oh.
I'm not allowed to talk about it publicly. But if you went
Sorry,
to,
you just made me laugh, and then I have this like cough, a little cough going on, and it just activated it. Oh my god, that was pretty funny. I worked on something that was shown at CES. Oh yeah, what was it? Oh, I can't tell you.
I legitimately cannot.
I hear you.
NDA,
No, I get
so.
it. I just thought it was funny.
And to my knowledge, I don't know if it was on the show floor. I think it may have been a closed door demo presentation. So if you went to any of those, then there's a chance you might have seen it. But
what did you say again?
Eventually it might come back. Oh, it was I think it was a behind closed doors demo.
Oh, okay. So maybe I didn't see it.
If you didn't go to any of those, then they probably didn't. I don't think it was on the show floor because I think there's some stuff that
I went to some of the
out.
night events that weren't open to the public. So maybe were they there at any of those things?
It's possible. It's possible. I can't tell you much about it. But yeah.
All right.
It's entirely possible.
I don't want
if
you.
I
I don't
see
want
you do
you.
any write-ups on it, I'll reach out.
I don't want you getting in trouble. Go ahead.
But moving on from that to some other incredible breaking news. Did you see that Elon Musk has unfollowed Grimes on Twitter?
Really? Well, I saw that he unfollowed his brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
when did he unfollow Grimes?
I don't find it particularly compelling at all, but
I think it's very interesting. What's
it
going
is
on
interesting.
there? When did he do that?
How is he going to see if she posts assassination coordinates or something like that? He's not going to be able to see it, so I don't know.
Wow.
But on the topic of Elon Musk, I want to correct you on something that you mentioned early in the show, but not a mean fact check kind of thing. I'll provide some additional context as well. So you talked about radar and LiDAR.
Yes.
LiDAR, I think you mentioned at the top of the show that LiDAR was like a company. It's not quite right. LiDAR is an alternate form of radar. So radar is radio detection and ranging. It's used to tell how far away things are. LiDAR is light detection and ranging. It usually uses lasers to give depth information. And I think you mentioned that Tesla don't use LiDAR. That's correct. They actually use just regular cameras, and they have 8 of them around the vehicle. Elon Musk has said that the reason why is Elon Musk has said that computer vision, sort of regular cameras, is apparently way better than radar and LiDAR right now. My mind was thrown back to an article in the New York Times in 2021 called "Inside Tesla as Elon Musk pushed an unflinching vision for self-driving cars." They were previously using radar, and they were previously developing their own radar tech. Then they stopped doing it. According to, this is a quote from the article, 3 people on the project said Mr. Musk had repeatedly told members of the autopilot team that humans could drive only 2 eyes, and that this meant cars should be able to drive with cameras alone. It's an absolutely bizarre reason for not using better technology, but okay. There's also aesthetic considerations. So when they had radar in the Teslas, there was a hole in the front of the car because it needed to send radar signals out and pick them up. He didn't like that. It looked bad. And he said, put it like a rubber seal or a plug in there to make it look less bad. Engineers said, well, that's going to trap snow and other debris, and it's going to cause the radar to stop functioning. They pushed it anyway, and it trapped snow and other debris and caused the radar to stop functioning. So they pulled it and they switched to just cameras. ultimately, it seems like the reason why they do it is that LiDAR is still quite expensive and cameras are incredibly cheap. So he comes up with this incredible, elaborate and fanciful sort of reasoning as to why his very asinine and silly decisions sound incredibly smart. Like, the brain works like a neural net, so we should be able to do it with cameras and a silicon neural net in the car. Yeah, absolutely absurd. But that's
I
the correction. With a little
don't
bit of
trust
extra
any of
flair.
this. I don't trust any of this this stuff. I mean, I think it is I think it's the technology is not there for it to be out on the road, honestly. I mean, I think it's obviously worthwhile to work on this sort of stuff, but the fact that there are Teslas on the road and any other sort of autonomous vehicles using whatever technology they're using to detect where things are, I don't think we are ready, nor is it right for this stuff to be on the public roads without anyone's consent.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating last couple of years for autonomous vehicles. I've been researching them in the last year or two. I've got a sort of an essay that I've written up that I'm going to be releasing pretty soon. That sort of digs into, like, where this stuff comes from and sort of fundamentally like how it works, because there's a lot of, we're in an era of tech where it's buzzwords and lots of sort of marketable, fanciful notions of how the things actually work, and not really any sort of concrete, okay, here is fundamentally how this thing works. But then on top of that, like, given that a lot of this work is happening in the United States with little to no regulatory oversight up until fairly recently, I think the last year the NHTSA has done a fantastic job of starting to really get their hooks into these companies and saying, hey, hang on, what are you doing here? What are you talking about? And yeah, it's this year will be probably the year where something comes to a head with autonomous vehicles. AI will probably be next year.
When you say something comes to a head, what do you mean?
We will see pretty concrete restrictions and regulations passed, because it's
by the government,
absolutely.
by the U.S. government.
Absolutely. Definitely.
From your lips to their ears, because I don't know about that. I mean, I hope I'd be very happy.
NHTSA is at the moment like wrapping up their investigation of Tesla and a couple of other automakers as well. And I think they're fast tracking it, given the events of the last, like, of today.
With that car news
that article that came out from Kenny Klippenstein. Yeah.
Listen, those cars should not be on the road. They just should not be. I have people in my mansions going like, "Oh, you never had your car battery die?" Well, I mean, things do happen to cars, yes, but in this case, that's not what happened. Very specifically, experimental technology that should not be on the road yet. If a Tesla's car battery died, then fine. Also, there are things you can do. Your car does not just all of a sudden come to a complete stop when your car battery dies. This car actually full on hit the brakes.
It's terrifying, right? Like, and
I've actually driven really shitty vehicles throughout my life, and because it's all I could afford, and I've had car batteries die. And if you're going at whatever speed you're going at, the car continues to move at that speed, and you use that time, and I've done this many times before, to pull over off the road. The car does not come to a complete and immediate stop.
Absolutely, right, and I think partly the reason why I say that I think this is going to come to a head this year is not only the US, but also there has been talk in London of legislation about who is at fault when an accident occurs in a self-driving vehicle, and there is sort of murmurings that kind of suggest leaning towards, well, if it's in self-driving mode, the manufacturer is responsible for the accident, which to me sounds kind of fair. especially if these vehicles, like, an ESA published an investigation into 16 or 17 different Tesla incidents where the autopilot mode collided with parked emergency vehicles, police cars, ambulances, that sort of thing that were parked on the side of the road, flashing lights.
Yeah, they don't.
and
They
everything.
can't. The Teslas can't see. I've seen the Teslas can't see cars that are stopped in front of them if the car is stopped on like a driving lane. It just doesn't know to look out for it.
Absolutely, yeah. Or it will see a parked car and think that it's in the lane, and it stops behind it, and then when it tries to sort of overtake it, it misses cars behind them or misses pedestrians. It's all sorts of weird stuff. But the NHTSA investigation, they published some preliminary info about it, which was that in the 17 incidents where these autopilot vehicles collided with emergency vehicles, the average time between autopilot disengaging and telling the driver, hey, you need to take over, and the impact was less than 1 second. So, that's just, this is, and when I heard that, I read that sort of coming from NHTSA, my mind sort of flew back to the times that I heard Elon Musk say, nope, autopilot wasn't active when the crash happened. It was disengaged when the crash happened. It's like, oh, it would be pretty convenient if autopilot had switched off prior to the crash. Technically, that would be correct. Autopilot wasn't active when the impact occurred.
Also, Tesla can say all they want about warning their users that they shouldn't be acting as if the car doesn't need them to be in control and paying attention. They could say there's those warnings all over the place. They market it and sell it as your vehicle will drive you and you won't have to. Like, they do that. And the fact that they're fucking rolling out video games in the fucking dashboard screen, I mean, they're telling their customers to literally do everything but drive without saying those words.
Exactly. Yeah.
In fact, I always thought
called
that
full self-driving.
Yeah. I mean, also, I always thought that it was that there were regulations against screens in the front. I remember back in the day when I was super enamored by conversion vans, RVs, things like that, and I remember reading one of the laws, at least here in New York. I don't know if it's the same everywhere. Is that a TV screen inside your vehicle cannot be visible by the driver. Like, that's why, I don't know if people remember back when like the TV screens in cars first started coming out, they were all either like in like vans or minivans. They were like in the middle where that the roof light is, so the driver can't see it.
Yep.
Or they were literally in the back of the driver and passenger seat, the front passenger seat. Again, only visible to the back, the passengers in the back.
Or if it was like up in the front, then it wouldn't like switch over to that mode.
It could only be for
what was parked.
Directions and shit like that, like Garmin type shit. Like when Garmin was the thing then, doing the GPS. It can only be stuff like that.
Yeah. My old Camry wouldn't let you pair a phone with Bluetooth. My old Camry wouldn't let you pair it unless the car was parked and in accessory mode. Like, it had to be parked before you could pair a phone.
Right, but people have to understand, like, those locations for the TVs, that just wasn't because all the car companies agreed that was the best place for them. No, that was like, that happened because there was some sort of laws or regulations around it, I thought. So what the fuck happened? I don't know.
Did you see that mock-up for the Apple vehicle interface?
Horrible. No shit. First of all, physical buttons are necessary for the driver because I don't take my eyes off the fucking road when I'm touching the buttons and shit. I use the feel of the buttons to fucking change the dial, turn all that shit. If it's just a screen, I can't do that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why a lot of the controls like are on the actual wheel as well, right? Like, it used to be, you had your head unit in your car, you want to change the radio station or whatever. Shifting a lot of those over to like thumb controls on the wheel in cars in the 2000s sort of served that purpose, right? To ensure that the driver wasn't looking like at a different, smaller screen in the center console of the vehicle. I want to leave you with one more fascinating fact from a study that has come out of of preprint, so it was published in Accident Analysis and Prevention by a gentleman called Noah J. Goodall. The title of the study is Comparison of Automated Vehicles Struck from Behind Crash Rates with National Rates using Naturalistic Data, if anyone wants to look that up. Why it's interesting is because AV manufacturers typically don't make available the data about their crash rates, only if the NHTSA ends up getting involved or state organizations end up getting involved and they know a little bit about it. But they don't hand over crash data willingly. Some cases they're legally obligated to. I think in California, any automated vehicle involved in a crash, autonomous vehicle involved in a crash has to hand their data over to NHTSA. But regardless, what this study has been able to do is take all of those disparate data sets that were available from different manufacturers across the board and normalize them, because they use different, definitions for the word crash, depending on speed and all that sort of stuff. They use different, they categorize things based on road type differently, all that sort of stuff. So when they were able to normalize that data, one fact that they found was that autonomous vehicles, that is vehicles that are in some sort of self-driving mode, are struck from behind 4.8 times more per mile than conventional vehicles. Self-driving cars that are in self-driving mode, are struck from behind 4.8 times more than human driver, like a car driven by a person. That paired with the sort of the basically meme at this point of Teslas slamming on their brakes for no reason, it seems to be borne out in the data. And stuff like this is why I say I think this year it's coming to a head.
No, that's
and
crazy.
I'll leave you
I
to
did not
it.
know that. Thanks a lot. Always a pleasure to hear from you, John. Always got some interesting stuff for me.
All good, no worries. Looking forward to Scam Economy this week as well.
There'll be. I'm currently aiming for a special episode of Scam Economy tomorrow. A special, I mean, not the usual scheduling, because I have the episode ready to go and I wanted to get it up on Sunday, but I just didn't get time to finish editing it. So my goal is that tomorrow it will go up, but after this episode is when I'm going to finish editing it. So that's the current goal. Stay tuned to the Patreon and my Twitter account and the YouTube channel for confirmation of if Scam Economy and the Scam Economy that's supposed to happen on Sunday is happening tomorrow. I think it's going to. But then there'll still be a Scam Economy the usual time this upcoming weekend too.
I'll keep an eye and an ear out.
All right.
Have a good one, mate.
Take care.
See you next time.
Bye. All right, folks. My headphones are about to go. I see there's a few more people who want to call in. Again, probably doing a stream tomorrow. Call in tomorrow. Let me read these super chats. Thank you, Kowalski, for the super sticker. Nathan Anderson with super chat. Bolt EV is $17K after tax discounts, 230-mile range. Renee with a super chat. Stop hyping Sean Parker. I did not. Improve material conditions via revolution, Ryan. Says Renee. Midnight Pizza Mom with a super chat. If Saudi news is true, what happens to Sami Zayn? Yes, very good point. The Sami Zayn is a wrestler of Syrian background who never goes to the Saudi shows because apparently he's not allowed to. Santa Cliff with a super chat for the cough drops. Thank you so much, Santa Cliff. And let's go to Twitch. Oh, got another raid before from Altered Rin or Rhine. Thank you so much for the raid, and thanks again, Ravana, for the raid. Don James 1676 cheered 100 bits. Amused Mob resubscribe with Prime subscriber for 9 months. Thank you so much. They say, Matt, your audio and video isn't in sync. It's more Backstreet Boys. Don James resubscribed for a tier 1 subscriber for 6 months. Yo Binder, Don says. Tokyo Hans, resubscriber Prime subscriber for 8 months. Valinova, give out 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much, Valinova. Missy in the dot subscribed for 1 month at tier 1. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for all the support. All the patrons who I mentioned earlier. Everyone who gave on Twitch, YouTube, and then of course just the viewers. Just the viewers. I got so many plans for this year. I really want to bring people on board because I need the help to be able to do this stuff. I have a third podcast idea in the works. I really am planning on relaunching this newsletter, and it not just being me. I want to be able to pay people to do articles. Like, obviously, I'm not talking full-time jobs. I'm like, I want to people to pitch to me and me be able to pay them for their article that they, like freelance writers and stuff. That's the goal right now. That's what I'm thinking in terms of, because I'm doing the audio, I'm doing the video. We're missing the writing component here for people who like to just read articles, which is obviously a huge audience. Got lots of ideas. So thank you all for supporting me. And if you would like to, patreon.com/MattBinder, of course. Also, I'm thinking about maybe moving off of Patreon and using Ghost. I'm not sure. I got to look into it. That's not happening anytime soon. But patreon.com/MattBinder is where you can support me now and in the future as well. All right, folks. Happy New Year. It's a pleasure to see you all again. And I will see you all next time on Doomed. Oh! Who should I raid? I'm just going to pick. Who's on right now? Oh, Amy C3. Amy C3 for the first raid of my first raid of the year. Let me do that. She was so good with helping with the FTX political donations. All right, everyone. See you next time.